Welcome to The Real with Joseph Labman. I am Joseph Labman. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Real, taking time out of your day to come watch this episode. I really appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe for me. I'd really appreciate that as well. That's the best way you can support this channel and help me grow my content and grow this channel to where I'd like it to be. Everybody hit the like button for me on the way in on this video today. That also helps promote this video more in the algorithms, helps grow this channel more as well. Please share this content. I would really appreciate that. My guests would as well. If you would please share this episode with someone you know that maybe is interested in the topic we're talking about today. Please leave a comment below as well. We'd love to hear your guys' feedback. You can interact with myself and the guest on the panel and the live chat as well. Whatever we're talking about, just leave a comment there in the live chat. Pop in and say hello. We'll put it on the screen for you. And yeah, without further ado, let's get to the show. Welcome back to The Real with Joseph Labman. I am Joseph Labman. I appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight. If you're new here, like I said, please hit the subscribe button for me and go check out my video right now. That's we're starting to pick up in the algorithm a little bit that I did this week called the San Diego Browns. A lot of what I said in that video was kind of prove it again today, just kind of what we are now. The San Diego Browns, the Paul DePodesta led organizationally Browns. Yeah, we got a bad quarterback. Head coach made some questionable calls today. A lot of our draft picks don't look as good. Yeah, we got a lot of problems, but we're going to get into it. But thank you for tuning on in tonight. Thanks for tuning in tonight. I really appreciate it. So another Browns loss yet again. They fall to 1-5 on the season. We're going to react to it. So I'm going to give my quick take. The game itself today, first half for Deshaun Watson again was very sloppy. Misfiring, missed some very open throws, didn't read the field well again. Especially the one play that stood out to me that Jonathan Vilma pointed out on the broadcast was when he tried throwing the long ball in the end zone to Jerry Jeudy, and he had David Njoku underneath, which possibly could have got some yards after the catch on that. Who knows? Maybe we would have got in the end zone. David's pretty good after the run. So, that one really stood out to me. One thing that I guess some positive, was they actually ran the ball today and they committed to it, and they ran the ball pretty well, I think, overall. They went under center more today, which I think was good. You saw some glimpses of more of the offense that worked well here for the last 4 years. You saw more of that today, so that was good, I guess. But, second half, Deshaun looked better. At one point he was 10 for 10. He at least was, completing the passes, moving the chains a little bit. They started converting third downs again. Finally, they I think it was like 0 for 26 for between the last game and the Raiders game, I think it was. Up until today, they were at one point in the game like 0 for 26 or something crazy like that, some stat I saw. So at least they got better on third down today. I mean, they ran the ball well, but other than that, defensively this year, not as good. We all know that. It's pretty noticeable. The pass defense today, not good. Greg Newsome, I've always thought Greg Newsome was a decent player. He could be good at times. I never thought he was great. That's just my opinion. And today he was not great at all. He wasn't good at all. He does not look like a good draft pick right now. Martin Emerson, who I was really high on in the past, much higher than I was on Greg Newsome always. He has not looked good this year. He's regressed and not played well. And I don't know. He just looks slow. Doesn't look like the same guy we saw last year in his rookie year. Those years he was a lot more physical. He competed harder. He looked a lot more just better in coverage. You don't see that this year. All across the board, it just looks bad. Myles Garrett had a great game today, but I expect that from Myles. He's a great player. But outside of Myles Garrett and props to Michael Dunn, who stepped in at center, I thought did pretty well. Out there, unfortunately Nick Harris got hurt, and thoughts and prayers to him. Hope he gets well. You might see him get hurt, obviously, and Aiden Hutchinson tonight as well. Some bad injuries today in the NFL, but hopefully those guys get better and recover. And shout out to Bounty Tank too. Hope he recovers as well. And praying for you, brother. But like I said, Michael Dunn did well, but Deshaun played okay better in the second half, but it still wasn't. There were still some missed throws at times. But the management in the second half and the play calling by Coach Kevin Stefanski was the biggest thing that stood out to me today. I don't know about you guys. Obviously, I mean, the bar for Deshaun's pretty low right now. I said on my show last week and this week, I think it's probably time to move on. I think as far as Deshaun ever working in Cleveland, I think it's never going to work in Cleveland. I think the ship sailed. I think it's time for them to move in a different direction. I just don't know if mentally he's going to be the same guy anymore. It just seems like something's just not right. And so, but I saw a lot of tension on that sideline today, and that really stood out to me as well. It was a very tense sideline, players and coaches. You could tell. Just everybody just looked like it was a must-win game for them, which you could say obviously they're 1-4, but it just seemed like it was more than just winning this game today. Could there be more on the line tonight or in this game today? We don't know, and we're going to talk about it. Maybe. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. But in terms of job security, maybe does Kevin have the autonomy now to change quarterbacks if he wanted to? I don't know. I still don't think he does. But Kevin Stefanski himself, though, today did not have another great outing. I think this year, in terms of coaching-wise, in the years that Stefanski's been here, I think this year's by far been his worst year. And today, and I give him some grace. I don't think it was all his fault this year. I think he's had a lot of power taken from him by the people upstairs, in particular Mr. DePodesta, who have a serious, and I don't say gripe, but I think somebody who should not, that Jimmy House needs to seriously consider his future with the Browns. I'm going to get to that in a second. But the Tillman jet motion play on 3rd and 1. So you're having success running the ball downhill vertically, and you decide to run a jet sweep motion with Cedric Tillman, and the edge is not sealed yet again. We don't seal the edge this year. No wham blocks this year, no nothing. Obviously, on that play, you're not going to have a wham block as the jet motion, but I'm just bitching about the run scheme in general this year. It's absolute, just been trash. But that play in particular, we run it right into a wide open defender. Nobody even touched him, unblocked, and it just stalls the whole drive. And just one of the worst play calls. Even Jonathan Vilma, I never heard a broadcaster really just say so blatantly, that's a bad play call there by Kevin Stefanski right away. He didn't even think twice about it. Bad play call. And another thing too, which is their playbook in general is just this Ken Dorsey, DePodesta, San Diego Browns offense, as I like to call it. It's just absolute garbage. Like I've been saying, long developing routes. Luckily today they committed to the run more. That's the first time we've seen that in a while. More under center too, more play action, which they were effective at times. But again, a lot more longer developing routes, a lot more just weird play calls like the Cedric Tillman jet motion sweep play. It's just the decision making at times is very questionable, and the game management at times. I'm just kind of like, I'm curious what you guys think about this decision. At the end of the game, it's what is it, 16-20, I believe it was, or no, excuse me, 13-20. So you're down 7. I think it was like 3-something minutes left, almost maybe just under 4 minutes left. I can't remember the exact time. Excuse me, but it's 4th down. We got the ball in the red zone. Obviously, we get 2 bad false start penalties on that drive, which were bad. Jed Wills, how do you get a false start right there in a crucial part of the game? I have no idea, but do you guys think they still should have went for it on 4th down? Because they settled for the field goal. Now, they got the 3 points, but should they have gone for the touchdown there to tie it? Or do you like the decision of, hey, kick the field goal there. Well, let's hope our defense gets a stop and we have the ball in hand and maybe go down and win the game. I'm not really sure what to think of that, really, to be honest with you. I haven't really thought about it, but I know some people on the panel tonight thought they should have went for it. What do you guys think? Should they have went for it right there? I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think. But in terms of the Browns now, I put this as a thumbnail tonight right here. Season's over. They're 1-5. The probability of you coming back from 1-5 and making the playoffs is very, very low, if not 0. So, but we know when you watch this team, anybody watch this team, they're not making the playoffs this year. Okay, that ship sailed probably 2 weeks ago. Really, in reality, it shipped before the season was even started because this team was, in my opinion, set up the field to begin with how they've been constructed and who's running the show now, like I broke down in the San Diego Browns video. So here we go. The season's over. Where do we go from here? Is it time for a rebuild? And I say it is. It's probably time for a rebuild. You probably time for a whole new breakdown of everything, not just on the roster, not just the quarterback, but probably even in the front office, probably at the coaching position. But most importantly, nothing really matters, in my opinion, because I give Kevin Stefanski some grace because I think he's completely overshadowed by Paul DePodesta. And I've showed him the reports the other day. You heard what Aditi King and Blala said this week on Ultra Cleveland Sports Show, and others have said this as well. Kevin Stefanski doesn't have the full autonomy over his team right now. Now, they ran the ball more today, but like Aditi said this week, sometimes there's people in the building in Berea. Well, even though he's not in Berea, he's in San Diego, that think, those 3-4 yard runs aren't really worth it, that we want to come out in this new air raid offense. Remember that? The air raid offense that Jimmy Haslam and Paul DePodesta wanted, and I got that right here. This was 2 years ago. They wanted to implement their air raid offense. And is this it here? Yeah. So 2 years ago, you remember, it came out that they wanted to implement this new air raid scheme. And this Paul DePodesta put this into Jimmy Haslam's ear that, maybe we should change the style, air it out more. And you remember the Tony Grossi report that people kind of sniffed at the time, which seems to be coming to light now and seems to be real. Doesn't matter the weather conditions either. And at the time, you see Stefanski and Alex Van Pelt insist that their system that was rooted in the running game, they wanted to keep that. But you can see there at the bottom, it says, disregarding with or rejecting DePodesta's research, would be Stefanski's quickest ticket out of town. So if this is true, and you heard what Aditi Kinkabala said, you heard what Tony Grossi says right there in that report from 2 years ago. Jonathan Jones, the one I just showed you, reporter for CBS Sports. This was his article right here. If this stuff is true, then it doesn't really matter if we change the head coach. Doesn't matter if we change the quarterback. Doesn't matter what we do to our roster or front office, because Paul DePodesta is completely taken over the Cleveland Browns and has turned them into the San Diego Browns. And it's an absolute shit show. That's why they're 1-5. They're analytics based. They're a full analytics organization. And analytics are bad in themselves. They're a tool. But we have used them now as our philosophy. They're our game day strategy. This guy on the left of the screen has completely got in the ear of this owner and convinced him that this is the offense you need to run. Drop back, air raid, throw it around the lot, and do all this stuff. And it's funny. Everybody always, I saw today when the Browns game was over, Baker Mayfield's game came on. They had a great win over the Saints. And yeah, Baker threw for 3 picks today. But he still threw 4 touchdowns. The team put up 40-something points, had a nice win on the road in New Orleans. And people always say we should have kept Baker. We should have kept Baker. And my rebuttal is, yes, but Baker wouldn't have been the same guy he is now here. And you know what the Buccaneers are? The least analytical organization in the league. So it shouldn't be a surprise that Baker Mayfield is playing so well, ladies and gentlemen, because he's part of the least analytical advanced organization in the league. Again, does that mean analytics are bad? No. And on the same poll that ESPN put here, Baltimore's ranked second, and Baltimore's had good success. But I think if you had to do like a percentage meter, right, of how much influence the analytics has on a particular organization, the Browns would probably be about 98.9%, and the Ravens in second on the poll would probably be around 68%. And that's still a pretty big gap. All right, I don't think John Harbaugh is going to have somebody over him telling him what decision he's going to make on game day. Not happening. But unfortunately, here in Cleveland, we have an ownership who insists to their head coach that when they hired him, too, you have to fall underneath this guy's umbrella, because I believe everything he says. And if you don't do it, like Tony Grossi said, you're going to be fired. And you can see there the Cleveland Browns are the most analytically advanced team in the league, and they're 1-5. And this year's offense is their offense. Why would you fire Alex Van Pelt last year when you went through that quarterback carousel? You had great success and made the playoffs, had a top 10 ranked offense in the league. Why would you fire Alex Van Pelt, your offensive coordinator? Don't make any sense, does it? And why would you replace Bill Callahan, the run game coordinator, who I get left, who you kind of let out leave? Didn't try to stop him either. I mean, I get it was a son and all that, but they didn't even try to stop him. You replaced him with a first-time NFL head coach from the University of UConn. This is a mess. They are in a mess right now that they've created. The ownership created this, and they made the trade for Deshaun. They forced these coaching hires and decisions and changing the offense, in my opinion, with Paul DePodesta. And what's crazy about all this, too, before the season started, I'm going to finish up with this. Before the season started, Jimmy Haslam spoke to the media about a potential Paul DePodesta extension, because Paul DePodesta He has one more year left on his extension from 2021. And you could see here, this says Jimmy Haslam says Browns want to get an extension done with Paul DePodesta. And if you scroll down in the bottom of the article here, quote from Jimmy Haslam, Paul is not. We're working through the situation with Paul. It's a little bit different because he lives in San Diego. Again, because he lives in San Diego, but we're comfortable with Paul, even though he lives in San Diego. And we'll remain. And we're comfortable. Paul will remain with us in some very important fashion for the long term. Oh boy! If Jimmy Haslam signs this guy to an extension, it's over for the Cleveland Browns. It's done. It don't matter who we hire head coach. It don't matter what new quarterback we bring in. It don't matter what new GM we get, what new players we get. If he keeps Paul DePodesta and re-signs him after the damage that's been done, clearly this experiment has not worked for the last how many years he's been here. It's just been absolute turnover through quarterbacks, coaches, dysfunction. Yeah, we made the playoffs a couple times, but this year you gave him the full reins of the air raid plan that you guys had put together, and you basically stripped your head coach of what he was doing well and made him fire his OC. That was actually a really good coach, and you made him fire him. And now you want to extend this guy, and you're 1-5, and this offense and this whole plan, this thing is complete failure. If he extends Paul DePodesta, it's over. The Cleveland Browns are done. If they extend Paul DePodesta, now if they don't extend him, he walks away and he turns it over to people that actually know football. And yeah, you can have the analytics department have that good balance in the organization. I think that's good, But maybe let them go find a new quarterback in this upcoming draft or whatever they want to do. But if he re-signs Paul DePodesta, I think it's a wrap for the Cleveland Browns. I think it'd be I think it'd be an absolute, just a huge mistake. That's the only way I can put it. It would be a huge mistake if he did that, because clearly this is not working. And no, this isn't personal with Paul DePodesta. He might be a very nice man. Best of luck to him and everything. But in terms of football, or at least with the Cleveland Browns, it's time to move on. Okay, it's time to hand this back over to people that can run an organization properly and know how to scout talent, how to let their head coach do their job, how to run an offense, how to be an NFL franchise that's a winning and successful one. People say all the time, well, Bill Belichick used analytics. Yes, he did, but he had a good balance. He used them as a tool. There was no Paul DePodesta, and there never would have been a Paul DePodesta with the New England Patriots. Their asses would have got ran out of town very quickly. Yeah, period. And so, before I bring my guest up here tonight, though, the other day I mentioned remember the Albert Breer report from 8 months ago, where he pointed out why the real reason Alex Van Pelt got fired. And so if you don't believe me that Paul DePodesta was the one that pushed all this offseason and created this new offense, this air raid attack, this, nobody runs empty sets more than the Cleveland Browns, that's for sure this year. And I think statistically they're an empty more than anybody. And you saw that again today. Remember, they were pinned back in their own territory right by the goal line, and they come out in 5 wide. They're out in their own. They got 90-something yards to go, and they're in 5 wide. I couldn't believe it. It's just it never. It's just something. Every week when you watch it, you're just amazed. And but here's this though. I'm gonna play this real quick before I bring my guest up here. Again, the real reason why Paul DePodesta was fired. Give me 1 second here. We got to skip this ad. I'll put it back on the screen in a second. But this Albert Breer here, who's pretty connected in the NFL, has good inside information. He reported this again back 8 months ago when Alex Van Pelt took the job with the New England Patriots. And I thought what he said here was pretty telling. Excuse me. I thought it was, you've seen it play out now. When you listen to what Aditi Kinkabwala said, you hear what Albert Breer here says here, and you hear what Tony Gross reported 2 years ago almost. It seems pretty clear where we are now, why we're having the problems we're having. And so here's Albert Breer again from 2 years ago. Okay, I got it ready now. Sorry about that. YouTube in their ads. So I might have to get the YouTube Premium. Is it really worth it? Put in the comments if you think YouTube Premium is worth it. Maybe I need to get it. So here's Albert Breer explaining why Alex Van Pelt was really fired.
Is ownership and Paul DePodesta, not Kevin Stefanski. They don't know head coach. There's so much experience here, but I think there's the one key here that people will miss if they don't know it, right? So in Cleveland, the reason he was let go in Cleveland was because ownership and Paul DePodesta, not Kevin Stefanski, ownership and Paul DePodesta were frustrated with the progress Deshaun Watson had made. I don't think that they really, truly, the people who made that decision really, truly knew his value to that staff. And other people on that staff, not so much Kevin, but people below him, were floored when they fired him for two reasons. Number one, how do you fire the offensive coordinator after you just won 11 games with 4 different quarterbacks, with your fourth and fifth tackles, without Nick Chubb,
including at least 2 or 3 of those guys that nobody's ever heard of, right? I mean, you're talking about Jeff Driscoll, PJ Walker, Dorian Thompson Robinson. Like, those are some of the guys he was working with.
So you just went through that, right? I mean, so how often do you see teams survive losing 1 tackle, let alone 3? They lost their first 3 tackles for the year.
Yeah, usually don't. I mean, look at the New England Patriots this year. You really had no tackles.
There's no tackle depth. There's no tackle depth across the league, period.
Yeah.
And he was able to help build an offense that was able to sustain with Joe Flacco coming off the couch, with their fourth and fifth tackles, without Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt coming back in. So there's that. Like, that I think is one reason why people there were floored that he got fired. The other one I think is the real key, though. He was the glue of that staff. Kevin, if you know him, he's a great guy. He's not the most outgoing guy. You know, he's just sort of like his personality is very dry. He's got a good sense of humor, but he's not like this outwardly gregarious guy. Alex was the one that held that staff together. When guys were coming out, when guys were going in, he is a guy who was a unifying force in that building. And after the year the Patriots just came off of, with the state their staff was in coming out of that season, I mean, so you could talk.
Okay, so that's all he says there about what happened here in Cleveland. And a lot of what he said there, and I'm going to hit on the one part at the end. He said he was the glue of the staff. And it's funny he says that when you hear what Sean Kane said this week about what Deshaun's camp's telling him about the lack of communication in the building. You hear, and then after the Jet sweep motion play today, they asked Kevin Stefanski about it post game, and he said it was a miscommunication between him and Deshaun. And then you remember last week that one debacle in the one part of the game where they had the 4th down and Deshaun walked off the field. They had too many men on the field twice in one drive. There seems to be a lot of miscommunication this year. They look very unorganized. They're the most penalized team in the league, and I think a lot of everything he said there has pretty much come to life and has shown to be true this year. Paul DePodesta and Jimmy hasn't forced that change, not Kevin Stefanski. People in the organization were pissed about it because why would you fire a guy that had the success last year they had with the quarterback carousel they went through? And they should have just expanded off of that offense. Even Deshaun Watson last year in that offense looked better than he did in this one this year. And especially before he got hurt too in the Ravens game. And so, and then at the end there, him being the glue of the staff, and he was a great quarterback coach, clearly. Look, after all, I mean, look at all the different styles of quarterbacks they had since he's been here. And they had success with all of them. And you fired the guy. And he clearly was the glue of the staff. But because look at all the miscues this year. You didn't see a lot of stuff last year. The running game looked a lot better too when him and Bill Callahan were here. But that's all I got to say on this game. I don't have much more to say. I'm gonna let the other two, whoever else joins tonight, I'm gonna let them take it from here. Gergs is in the house, the Lions fan. Gergs, what's happening?
What's up?
How about them Lions too? Well, prayers to Aiden Hutchinson. I saw he's in surgery right now. I hope he's going to be a speedy recovery. But other than that, great win for the Lions.
It's always good to beat the Cowboys. It's especially good to beat them on Jerry Jones's birthday.
Was it 40? Was it the final score?
48 or 47-9.
Jeez. But the fans are not happy in Dallas tonight. But go, shout out to Detroit. They're playing well this year.
Yeah, we didn't allow a touchdown.
How do you think they do now with the loss of Hutchinson? Where do you think they go from here?
I think we need to call it the Jets. We need to call it the Raiders, and try to get either Reddick, Max Crosby. We definitely need an edge rusher ASAP.
Yeah, for sure. Jerry got Jersey in the house as well.
Hey, Mom.
Jersey, thanks for
Hey,
joining
Mom.
tonight. My mom's also in the back. Mom, what do you think of today's game?
No comment.
All right, I don't blame you.
No, I thought they did okay.
Oh gosh, they were pretty bad. They're 1-5.
I know.
I'm sorry. And it's sad we're sitting here. What is it? Going into week 6. It's October 13th, and the season's already
You put your head in there.
washed.
It is sad. Who would ever thought? Like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, this is actually to me. This is worse than the 0-16.
It is because 0-16, you knew they were trying to lose to accumulate the picks and get higher draft picks.
Right.
They had a plan to do that. This one, yeah, you're right, because they had expectations this year to make the playoffs, and this was the year finally with the shot back healthy. You thought it would all work out, but it's over already. So I mean, we'll get into the game. You guys heard my little opening monologue there. I said a lot. I guess we'll start with the game first. Whoever, Chris, you can go first. What was your take on today's game in itself?
Just the amount of dysfunction on both sidelines. I don't think that Philly is even. I think Philly has a lot of disconnect between their head coach and quarterback and everything like that too.
Yeah, they won today, and they're still calling for Sirianni to be fired.
Yeah. I mean, it's what you expected. Another loss. I mean, it wasn't anything new.
All right, just another lot. What did you think of the decision not to go for it on 4th down at the end?
Jeez.
I think it's quite possibly the dumbest decision I've ever seen in my entire life of watching football. It makes zero sense. I don't know how anyone can defend it. You're down 7 points. You haven't scored 20 points all year. It's not like your offense is some like world beaters that, we'll just stop them on defense and drive right back down and score another touchdown. They barely see the opponent's 10-yard line all year. Why are you're on the 10-yard line? You go for the tie, but or even the win at that point. But you do not kick the field goal. Kicking the field goal, you're down 4. What's the point of being down 4? You have 3 timeouts. You don't get it. You have 3 timeouts, and you're in the same position before you kick the field goal. It makes no sense. I would love to hear somebody try to defend it. It makes zero sense.
What did you think too? I mean, I probably know, but how shocked were you when you actually saw the play called the Tillman jet sweep?
I just laughed. I mean, at this point, you gotta. I mean, you can't get mad about it anymore. You just gotta laugh.
You just expect it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
everybody's speechless today because it's like you're right. It's like, did you really expect anything else to happen today? No, but it's when you still see it, it's just like, man, they are really that bad. Like, it's Jersey. What was your? We'll start with the game again. Like I said first, what was your take on the game itself today?
Well, I didn't sit and watch it. I mean, I saw a lot of it. We were sitting somewhere eating, and it was on the screen above us. But I mean, I did see it looked like there's a little more of a commitment to the run. It looked like they're running the game. They're running the ball effectively at the time I was watching. It was mainly the second half. I did see where Watson was 10 for 10. But the thing I just could that 4th down call in the 4th quarter. You're 1-4 and you're on the road. Just go for it. I mean, you kick a field goal and kick the ball off to them, and sure enough, you didn't get the ball back. You couldn't stop them on freaking. You couldn't get a 3 and out. So, I just feel like if you're 1-4 and you're on the road, just be aggressive. What do you got to lose? You know what I mean? And they weren't aggressive, probably because the analytics said not to be. and look where they're at now. They're 1-5. If they literally could have won here. You score a touchdown. You're up. I mean, you're up. Or no, you're tied at least. You can at least give yourself a shot in overtime, but they can't even do that. But the analytics probably said no.
Did you think the Tillman jet sweep was that an analytics call? Probably.
Well, I didn't see that, but that sure as hell sounds like it. Why would you put Tillman? You might as well put DeJuan Jones. That'll be next. We'll run him on a jet sweep. So,
yeah, it was 3rd and 1. They had success running the ball downhill, and 3rd and 1 they call a jet sweep with Tillman.
Of all the guys in your roster, that's who you're going to use. You know what I mean?
And I don't think did he even make it back to the line of scrimmage, Gerg? I don't think he did. I think it was like a tackle. I think it was like a 1-yard loss.
What is he, like 6'2", 6'3"?
Yeah, none of our receivers run more than a 4.6.
Right, we're running jet sweeps.
Yeah, I did. By the way, the whole receiving core, outside of maybe Jamari Thrash, because we don't know what he is yet, but this whole receiving core, just go ahead and wipe the whole thing out after the season. They are absolutely they stink. This receiving core, it might be the worst in the league.
It is. It does suck.
Joining us now, Dan's in the house.
Hey.
Yeah, I went on a rant, Dan. I don't know if you saw it. Was the first opening. Just talking about the Browns.
I was watching.
Yeah, you heard it then, and you guys heard what Albert Beard said. But I'll get your take on the game real quick in itself, Dan. What did you think of the game today?
Real quick, where's Mike?
He won't answer the phone.
Of course not.
I know. I called him earlier. He's like, I might come on. I'm not dodging.
It's impossible to go 13-4 now.
I knew you were going to say it.
We'll see if he calls.
It's impossible.
I know he's writing an article.
This was actually the first game of the year I watched every single play, and I still don't know why I did that to myself. But I still don't know why. We are definitely the worst team in the NFL. We are deserving of the number 1 pick, although I don't even know what we do with it at this point with the cap situation we have going on, and what we would do with that. But man, at what point does Cleveland just become a baseball town and just kind of put the Browns on the back burner while we watch the Guardians continue to do better than everyone estimates they do, instead of getting hyped up about the Browns every year to be disappointed?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, they seem to be the most functional organization. I think the Cavs are pretty well ran now too. I think they have good alignment, and I'm actually excited for the Cavs this year too with Kenny Atkinson. But yeah, we used to be it is a football town first, and now it's the football team is an absolute dumpster fire. I mean, did you think they should have went for it on the 4th down and down in the red zone at the end of the game?
I mean, what's the strategy in not trying?
I don't know.
I don't understand
Joseph,
not trying.
Anyone with a brain.
I mean,
no, I know, but there's been people online that ain't defending it, so I'm just.
I mean, put the ball in the air and give at least a chance for a PI call or something to happen there. To be honest, I mean, if Nick Sirianni wasn't such a terrible coach, the Browns wouldn't even have been in that game to even make it competitive. Nick Sirianni was actively trying to give the game away, like we've seen so many teams try to do to the Browns this year that they still can't take advantage of. But Nick Sirianni, with that 3rd and 1 play call before the half, with all his timeouts left, where he drops Jalen Hurts back and gets sacked, is one of the worst play calls ever, especially considering the fact that they can do the tush push on any down to 1 to go and get it. And especially if they're going to try it twice on 4th down, it made 0 sense and turned into 7 points for the Browns. That, was the only 7 points they were going to get anyway. So yeah. It's pretty.
Still didn't get over 20 points tonight either.
It's pretty just completely stupid.
No offensive touchdown.
We've been sharing all the stats all week, but the Browns are the first team in NFL history to not score over 20 points in each of their first 6 games. Now, we've seen some shitty Browns teams, but this one might take the cake because and the frustrating thing is there's actually talent on the team, and there's actually people that are paid lots of money and contracts on the team, but they're surrounded by scout teamers everywhere else. So it's just like a mix of actual NFL players and like XFL players all on the field at the same time trying to do something. So
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be. I mean, the season's obviously over. It's gonna be a hell of a rest of the season. Just to see what happens and where they go from here. I guess I'll put this back up on the screen. We'll start with this one because now we're kind of more talking of rebuilding mode and what decisions they make first. I think the first decision to make first and foremost is getting rid of the guy that created all of this, and giving him at least no more power and say over the organization. Paul DePodesta, who Jimmy Haslam said back in July, he wants to get that extension done. Gerge, your thoughts? And I said, if they sign this guy to an extension, we are definitely a Guardians town now. But I'll leave it there. Go ahead, Gerge.
I mean, the ironic thing is what he's there to do and his actual function, which is the reason he even has a job, is exactly what the Guardians are doing without him involved. I mean, the Guardians have $140 million payroll. It's literally almost a third of what the Yankees is, and they're still competitive and they still win. So a guy like him is not needed to manage anything. It can be done. And certainly not when it comes to the decisions he's made. I mean, to be honest, and love or hate Deshaun for whatever reason, or whatever you feel about Deshaun Watson, who at one point proved that he was a viable, very talented quarterback, and then had everything else swirling around him at the same time that brought a bunch of other opinions his way. And obviously this chapter of play is not going well for him. But this will be the worst trade in NFL history, and it's starting to build itself to maybe it's the worst trade in the history of sports. If the Houston Texans win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years, it will become the worst trade in the history of sports, in my opinion, because we literally helped them rebuild their roster.
Yeah. Gerge, your reaction on this report?
Yeah, I mean, he needs to go. They top to bottom, they have to just clear house. I mean, and at this point, Haslam might as well just sell the team. I mean,
it starts with ownership. It's D and Jimmy have to take. They have to take accountability for this. This was their idea originally. This isn't a Kevin Stefanski idea. He's proven that he can win with anyone under center that just plays in his role and his narrative, that he can be good with that. And they forced this on him kind of, and they didn't meet, and it didn't fit. And then they waited too long and outlasted any type of trade value that Deshaun would have by ruining him in the system. So now even if you cut him or bench him, you can't do anything with him because you got $173 million cap hit next year based on how they manipulated the cap to do it. You can't even field an NFL team with that cap hit.
A lot of the analysts are saying that to get rid of Watson, they would have to go to like a team like Carolina and then offer Watson and the Browns' first round pick to even have Carolina eat that.
Yeah, and probably take Bryce Young back.
Yeah. So it's a mess, but they truly are the worst offense I've seen in a very, very long time. I mean, they are terrible.
Yeah, and I think Daryl Ryder, the tweet I put up the other day, nailed it right on the head. You fired a good coach in Alex Van Pelt, who was a really good quarterback coach. All the quarterbacks you worked with here, different sizes, skill sets, and like you said, Dan has success with them. Especially last year, I think proved that with PJ Walker, Joe Flacco, and DTR, and all the different, even Deshaun at one point. You fired him, and then you let Bill Callahan out of his contract, and you didn't even really try to stop him. And I think the reason why they didn't try to stop him, I get he wanted to go coach with his son, but they at least could have. They didn't even. It's like I said, they didn't even try. They didn't even try to give him a big offer. Like, you don't let that guy just walk out the door. And they did. They just let him walk out the door. He was your run game coordinator. He was obviously maybe the greatest offensive line coach of all time. You had a great offensive line when he was here. You had, 4 string tackles in last year. And I think they let him walk because they knew him and Alex Van Pelt and other guy, maybe others, weren't going to go along with their little bullshit air raid plan that they have for the offense led by DePodesta, that he convinced Jimmy Haslam they needed. And so they said, yeah, we definitely want you out of the building because we can put guys in there that'll do what we want done. Well, that's led to 1-5 so far this year, and is an absolute disaster. So,
well, that's all cool to have an air raid offense, but you have to have like receivers to go along with it too.
And you have to run the ball when you're in the AFC North or anywhere really, but especially when you're. I mean, it's like they said in the report here from 2 years ago. Right there, they want explosive plays in the passing game. Apparently, no matter the weather conditions.
Yeah.
So it can be 40-mile-an-hour winds and blowing sideways rain, and we're going out there and dropping back 5 wide 30 times a game at least.
Yep. Yep. They did it. They did it in December 2 years ago against the Saints. That game they lost that had major playoff implications. They dropped Deshaun back 35 times. It was minus 22 degrees outside.
They let a team from a dome down south come up here and beat them. That was embarrassing. I remember that
in December.
Yeah, in one of the coldest games I've ever heard of. Jersey, your reaction to the Paul DePodesta stuff part of this?
I've been saying it for weeks. I mean, it always starts at the top. I mean, it's like Dan said, the Hasms have to be held accountable. I mean, who holds them accountable? But that's the guy that has to go first and foremost. I mean, if nothing else makes sense, it doesn't matter. Bring in a different coach, different quarterback. I don't care. That guy has to go. I mean, he's running the team. He's made all of the bad. I mean, this is crazy. You know, from when I watched that video that Albert, what he said, you know, the way for him to put in context the way he did, it's just mind-boggling. It's like you just can't believe these idiots did this. I mean, for what they're able to accomplish last year with all the injuries and get to where they got to, and just blow it apart. It's just this guy wants to blow it apart. I just don't get it. You finally start to, you know, you come out of, you rebuild the team. You know, Watson got hurt, but he was 6-1 last year before he got hurt. You know, maybe there's some continuity developing. You know what I mean? But no, let's just blow it all apart and start the hell over. So, you know, I've got up here and I've busted Stefanski's balls. You know, but I've looked deeper into it, and again, who knows? Maybe he's just not even happy. I mean, how could he be? You got to submit your game plan to this jackass before every game, to this guy that's never played a lick of football in his life, just because he's a math guy. You know what I mean? I'm a head coach in the NFL. You hired me to be a head coach in the NFL. And I got to submit my game plan to this guy and get an approval. Who would want to do that? I mean, it'd be like every deal that I pencil, I got to submit it up to the top. Hey, can I pencil these numbers? You know what I mean? Get the hell out of here. Why am I here then? So it's like, again, here it's just, you can't even be mad anymore. Because this is what you expect. I expect them to not even win another game this year. I mean, they might finish the season with 1 win. So
I don't know. We have the Bengals at home next week. I mean, the Bengals at home, in my experience with my wife as a Bengals fan, they haven't performed traditionally well against the Browns at home, and they look like a very beatable team.
Yeah, but
only
I mean, Mike,
7-0 against the Giants. But
I mean, you're sitting there watching them, though, that they look
beat you.
They look like an NFL team, though. They're moving. I mean, when you watch our offense, it looks like Pee-wee football.
I agree.
It's so dysfunctional. I don't think they can beat anybody. I think part of the reason we got Stefanski and we ended up with Stefanski is I think this is part of this regime's process in finding someone who is new to head coaching that would be agreeable with someone else really pulling strings. Oh yeah.
Which is probably why it turned away the, you know, Harbaughs and Belichick's and all the other people of the world that, you know, make very dynamic, great coaches, because they'll come in and tell you right away, no, I want control. I'm not going to answer to anybody. I'm going to coach a football team. And if the owner and the front office didn't like that, it was probably on to the next one until they found their yes man.
Well, yeah, that's what he is. I mean, he's a green pea. He got a gig.
Yeah, and Stefanski, when he leaves the Browns, which will probably be relatively soon, I would think. I mean, they're not going to let him lose out and retain his job or his position. He'll go somewhere and he'll be a coordinator for a little bit, and maybe get another shot at head coaching. But who knows? It's not all his fault. Certainly, it's not all Deshaun's fault. It's the whole organization's fault in general for what's happened and how bad this is. They've squandered maybe the most talented Browns franchise the past 5 years that we've ever seen in any of our lives, including the 80s.
Yeah,
with just talent. Now, if this talented roster played with the spirit of the guys that played in the 80s did, then we'd have won a couple Super Bowls.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, and not only that too. I think wasn't Andrew Berry hired after Kevin Stefanski? I believe. I think he was.
Yeah, I think so.
So and I think Jay Crawford mentioned this week. He read an article on their show about how he went back and reread one that basically, paraphrasing a little bit, but that when they hired these guys, like you said, Dan, they had to fall underneath the umbrella of one guy, Mr. DePodesta, and had to align with him and agree with him. And you see the article by Tony Grossi 2 years ago that if he doesn't, basically submit to that, he loses his job and gets fired. And so it's odd. I never heard of a coach not being able to coach his team the way he wants. It's pretty sad.
But here's the thing. He didn't have to sign that extension either. If Stefanski's so, sick of being the yes man, yada yada yada, he didn't have to sign the extension either.
Why do you think that extension process really dragged out now then? And I think he kept play calling now because it was his sense of that might have been the fight behind the scenes. I think they wanted Ken Dorsey I think they wanted this to be a full blown air raid where Ken Dorsey calls the plays even. Maybe that was his way of gaining control still because he didn't really believe in it.
If he's not calling the plays, he has no function at all because he's not really. It's like you're saying about Van Pelt. He's not a voice, he's not a guy that's on the sidelines. He's not a guy getting the guys fired up. He doesn't have if he's not calling the plays, this guy has no function at all. I
guarantee you Alex Van Pelt would have been like, hey, Kevin, go for it on fourth down, you idiot. Like that is, I'm telling you, that was the dumbest thing I've ever, I was in shock. We're going to go ahead and kick the field goal to be down 4.
Right.
Hey, guess what? We're still going to need a touchdown
that we haven't scored all game.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't get it, you got them pinned down,
and you still have the 3 timeouts that you have when you stinking kick the ball. It makes no sense. It was quite like I'm telling you, there's no way that was Paul Despot. There's no way it was anyone but Kevin. And it was one of the dumbest decisions I've ever seen someone make in the NFL at that level.
In-game decisions. I'm sure Kevin is making all the in-game decisions. There's not enough time to get your earpiece activated for some nerd to fire up his abacus.
And there is zero excuse to not kick, to not go for it on 4th at the 10-yard line.
No, they were deeper than 10. They were deeper than the 10. Yeah, they were.
No, was it? No, they weren't. No, they weren't.
I don't think he has somebody in his
I think they were, and then there was that penalty.
Let me look.
That false start.
They were beyond the 10, dude. They were deep. It was like 4th and goal from like the 17. Well, you
they had that false start.
All you got to see is how long the field goal was.
31-yard field goal.
Yeah, there you go. So they're on the 14-yard line.
Yeah, I don't know if they have somebody in their ear telling them what to do in the city, but I do think they push tendencies. Like Aditi said this week, the report about we don't like the 3-4 yard runs. We think those are on first down. We'd rather just throw the ball more. I do think there's push tendencies upon him that I think ruin your game plan. I mean, I don't. That's what it seems like. But I want to ask you guys, though, as guys who work in business, why do you think he would have signed that extension then with all this going on?
Well, sometimes people will just do things for the money, despite the location. Right, Chris?
There's more than just the money involved. Yeah.
Only teasing. But yeah, money had a big old fat payday staring him in the face. Here's 11 million bucks, and you can stick around here. And we know your kids are in schools, and you're comfortable with the Cleveland community. You don't have to move again. There's probably a lot of reasons. A lot of reasons.
Here's. I think Dan and I are probably we're the prime example. I mean, he just hasn't had enough yet. You know what I mean? You get tied to your people. You get, you know what I mean? You start something, you feel like you walk away, you failed. I mean, there's a lot of different things, but I mean, he just might be one of them guys that just he's tied to these guys. He's brought a lot of these guys in, and he wants to see it through. And at the end of the day, just hasn't had enough. I think if we can sit up here and say this, every other GM and owner in the NFL, I don't think he would probably go back to being an assistant. I think he'd get another head coaching job because if we know this shit, all these other GMs know exactly what the hell's going on. You know what I mean? They know what the problem is, and I think he would certainly have another gig. But I don't know. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to do. It's hard to go somewhere, and nobody wants to go somewhere and with the plan. And it's, hey, I'm going to go here and I'm going to leave. Nobody wants to do that.
Start over. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of in one way, it's a good thing. He's committed. He's loyal. But gosh darn, I mean, this ownership and this guy in this front office, I'd be getting the hell out of here. If any of them, I'd be getting out of here. I'd be getting the hell out of this place.
Well, I don't know that Stefanski can keep his job through this, regardless of what happens. It's a tough narrative for a team to sell somebody on being 3-14 at the end of the year, however the Browns are going to finish, and retain a head coach.
And he won't be, and he won't come out of this and directly get a head coaching job. He'd have to go back to a coordinator and then work his way back up. But
he'd get interviewed, though. He'd get interviews. He would get interviews.
He wouldn't have to be I guarantee he wouldn't have to be a coordinator. Look at some of these coaches in the NFL. You got Mike McDaniels down there. This guy would get a gig in a second because all these people on the outside know. They know this. They know what the problem is, and it's not really him.
Yeah. The stink of the Browns might take a minute to get off them, though.
Right. I mean, we got some lousy ass coaches.
The residual stink is going to affect so many people. It's going to affect Stefanski. It's going to affect Deshaun. It's going to affect a lot of people in the future of their careers. And the Browns, as they are right now, need to be selling. I mean, they need to be major sellers just for the full rebuild. Obviously, the name that no one will want to talk about selling that's going to get you the most draft capital to help rebuild back is trading Myles Garrett.
We'll take him.
And also eligible for an extension this year too. I don't think that's happening.
And to be honest, if I'm Myles, I mean, he's a Hall of Famer on a bad team already. He's going to be a Hall of Famer for sure. He's our defensive Joe Thomas. That's going to be one of the greatest at his position ever not to win anything if he stays. Does he want to go somewhere and explore the opportunity to win and see what it's like to play deep into the postseason and show what he can really do? You have to think that that's going around his head, looking at what the future of this team is.
We just lost.
So if you don't know he's committed and you don't know that you can sign him to an extension, you need to be calling every contender in the league right now who's in an arms race trying to be a Super Bowl contender, all of them, and seeing what the biggest package you could get back from Myles Garrett is.
Before we move on, I want to get to that in a minute. What moves where they should go from here the rest of the season, what moves they should make possibly. But what do you guys think is more likely? And Chris, I'll start with you. Does Kevin Stefanski resign and finish? Does he finish out the season, or just resign abruptly, or maybe resign at the end of the season, whatever? Or does he get fired?
I think they're all going to get fired.
Yeah, I think they're all going to get fired. I don't think he's going to quit. I don't think Stefanski's a quitter. The only thing he quits on is running the ball.
Yeah, I don't think he would ever resign in the middle of the season, but I think maybe at the end of the season, maybe. I mean, I wouldn't blame him if he walked away if I had to put up with this shit, but Jersey?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, he kind of strikes me as the kind of guy that would resign. Just like I don't know. He just strikes me as that kind of guy that just says the hell of it, just walks away from it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, obviously I don't know the guy personally, but you just watch his demeanor. I mean, I don't know, but how are you going to fire the 2-time coach of the year?
2-time. 2-time.
But yeah, I mean, it all has to be. But here, none of it. I don't really care who they bring in until that front office is wiped out.
Oh, they're going.
I'm not watching a game. I'm not watching a game. I'm not. Why would I sit and take the time to watch this shit?
Oh, you didn't watch it today?
Fuck no, I didn't watch it. Why would I sit and watch? Why would I take my time, my day off, to watch this shit that they're giving us? I mean, I try to watch it so I can get on here and have an idea, but why would I watch this? Man, I just watched the Hoban Knights the other night. I got to watch Ohio State last night. Oh, by the way, I think we always say this, bro team. I swear, right now, I think some of these top collegiate teams would beat the Browns.
Oh, I agree that the Ohio State Buckeyes would beat the Cleveland Browns.
Either one of those teams last night would have beat the Browns. I mean, we're so bad that these collegiate teams will beat us. So no, I'm not. Dude, it's just crazy. It's like, to me, it's like I only got so much time. Why would I waste it? I'm not watching them. I'm not watching them. I'll never watch them again until that front office is wiped out. I don't care if they dug up Paul Brown and he was frozen and they revived him like they did Han Solo and Jim Brown came back, Walter Payton. I'm still not watching them. It wouldn't make a difference because of that front office. So I'm not watching them. Hell no.
Are you also not shopping at Pilot Flying J's?
I don't even know if there's any around here.
Yeah, they're
I'm more of a
south.
Love's kind of guy, to be honest. But,
Yeah, they're a little
but
no, it's just sad.
Maybe
you get
we should
all,
build them a new stadium.
What's that?
Maybe we should just build them a new stadium.
Well, that's not going to be as easy as people think. Like, that's a lot of money, man. And I think a lot of times they're going to have to. It might have to be voted on, or
you know who needs to own the Cleveland Browns is the city of Cleveland. Let's just do it the Green Bay way and have the city own the team.
Well, now because we got some who runs it then, like who makes the decisions.
I think they still have a board, but
yeah,
the season ticket holders are the
owners.
Yeah.
Well, as long as
you're a part owner when you own a seat.
Well, yeah, I mean, then but still, that doesn't guarantee you're going to be. There's so many idiots out there. I mean, what's that?
We'd have coaches getting fired mid-game.
Well, I mean, it still doesn't guarantee. I mean,
you just get a button at your seat and get the coach launched.
With a Cleveland, yeah, guys were getting fired every week. I mean,
yep.
Put that quarterback in there.
Our quarterbacks would be on lease to own.
Yeah,
month to month.
I mean, to be honest, that's why, like, when the Buckeyes lose, and I see all that stuff, and then I'll look on my social media feed, and it's everybody like, "We gotta fire this coach. We gotta fire this coach," and I'm just like, my gosh. I mean, it must be because with the Buckeyes and how good they've been, and I say this all the time, the Buckeyes fan base is good college football fans that like the Buckeyes, like you guys that are good football fans. But then it's just everybody else who's just enjoyed 20 years of a very winning franchise that are pretend football fans in their Buckeyes gear. And it just gets so annoying to watch them comment on things football related when a team loses one game in a season to a worthy opponent, when I'm watching the Browns absolutely suck for 40 years.
You hit the nail right on the head, because that's what it is. It does drive me crazy. We got all these people that are,
oh, you got to fire Ryan Day. It's like,
yeah. Hey, did you watch a game? Well, no, I didn't watch a game. Hey, what other football game? Hey, did you watch the Iron Bowl? No, what the hell is that? You're not a real football fan. Yeah. So I mean, that shit drives me crazy.
Were you watching when John Cooper was 5-5? Did you have your nice Ohio State parka on?
Right.
When we were playing Michigan, when he was 5-5, and
getting our
Bobby
ass beat
Hoying
by
was throwing to
Michigan.
Ricky Dudley.
Right. Now, no, they didn't watch, and that's what drives. That's why I'm like in no hurry to go to a lot of those games, because that's all it is people like that down there. That's all it is, and it literally drives me crazy because I can sit and I can turn on, watch an A&M game and watch some real fans, or some of these Southern teams, even Alabama. You just don't have that kind of energy in Ohio State game because you got a bunch of uppity assholes sitting there.
I wish they took the average blood pressure of every NFL football team fan base just so you could see it on a metric what the blood pressure levels are. I guarantee the Cleveland Browns fan base is top 5.
Well, Cleveland is like one of the most stressed cities in America.
I mean, it's got to be top 5.
I want to know
have to be in the top 5.
The life expectancy of Cleveland Browns fan versus.
I bet the Cowboys are up there too, just because every year they think their team's going to be so good and they stink so bad.
That's another scenario. I mean, that's another dabbling owner, an owner that just can't keep his hands off of anything.
Well, they leverage their whole franchise with their quarterback and their wide receiver, and they got nothing left for the rest of it. And football's a team sport.
Mm-hmm.
You can have an all-world wide receiver and a good franchise quarterback, but you still have to have other people on the field. They're soft everywhere else.
Yeah. It's just bad culture. Behind a facade. It's a Dallas Cowboys city. People just automatically think it's the greatest, but it's not.
And then they get absolutely waxed today, 47-9. And then while they're getting waxed, I'm just thinking, man, Dallas beat the shit out of the Browns.
All right.
At home, in our home opener, at our stadium, came in and just beat the shit out of us. And I'm just watching the Lions just go up and down the field on them, just waxing them.
Owensby said, speaking of uppity.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Owensby. Actually, it's funny you said that about the most stressed, places in America. I pulled up this article here. The most stressed city in America is Cleveland, Ohio.
Isn't that crazy?
And then
right behind it.
And who is it?
Akron.
Detroit.
Yeah, you got Cleveland, you got Detroit. Mm-hmm. Akron's at 8.
Akron.
Yeah.
Wow. Barberton.
Anyway, yeah, the most stressed city.
Everybody I see walk around Akron ain't stressed about nothing.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Cleveland, Ohio is the most stressed city in America. Not much that has to do with the football team.
I think that's a lot to do with it because if you guys probably know this, when the Browns win, it's a whole different week. I always feel like we're gonna sell more cars when we come off a win because people are just in a better mood.
Well,
it's probably because all these fucking street cones between Akron and Cleveland.
That means this year is definitely going to be a recession.
Yeah, right.
It's all these freaking street cones.
Here, you guys might think that you guys are going to beat Cincinnati next week, which just makes me laugh because Cincinnati is going to just whack you guys.
I don't think so. I'm very rooted in the Browns versus Bengals history, being that my wife is a Bengals fan. It doesn't matter what their record is. Joe Burrow has this thing when he plays the Browns that it turns him into like a pedestrian quarterback. I don't know if it's the orange helmets thing. I don't know if it's a psyche thing. He can't do it. And the Browns, obviously, we're 1-5. We're due for some type of decent, put the whole game together type performance.
Here, Cincinnati's defense is terrible, but the best thing for a bad defense,
and don't we get Chubb back next week?
Is a horrible offense. And
we do get Chubb back next week, but
we get Chubb back.
I got a couple questions about that atmosphere. They're already talking about that game, though. Somebody actually left a comment on my video tonight as we're doing this. And they said it right. They said the fans are going to rip into the team up and down next week. I can hear "We want Flacco" chants now. This is the first time this team's been back since the Giants game. They've been on the road, remember, the last 3 weeks. I don't know what the hell you're going to – I don't know what you're going to hear from those fans next week. I saw some other post-game shows tonight talking about it. People are already talking about it. I'm curious to see what that atmosphere is going to be like next week. And number one, how many people are actually going to go out to the game? I think if you're only going to that game next week is either – you're a blind hope still for some other reason, or you want to go and vent. And I think
It's-
that's going to be a lot of venting next week and a lot of things we haven't seen in a long time at Brown Stadium next week.
Well, whoever left that comment may not have been to a game in a while, but the Browns fans always show up happy in the first quarter because they've been drunk for 6 hours. Okay. So it doesn't matter what our record is or who we're playing. They're going to show up happy. The booing really begins in about the second and third quarter,
And that's
when their buzz starts to wear off, and they don't want to buy $13 beers anymore. Their buzz starts to wear off, and then their mentality comes back, and they start booing the shit out of everyone that's on the field.
Well, then reality hits
becoming
you.
unruly.
You realize you're 1-5. Your season's over. Deshaun just threw another one in the dirt. Kevin's, calling another jet sweep. You got the guy. He's out in San Diego still. It's like reality hits you. And I think you're going to see something next week that, in terms of just what they're going to chant, they could get ugly next week.
I'm calling it right now. The Browns win next week, 23-17. I'm calling it right now. I know it makes no sense with anything that we've watched, but I will tell you, the Bengals are no world beaters, and the Bengals have a problem playing Cleveland Browns. I don't know what it is. Plus, Chubb's back. Those fans are going to leave that stadium next week thinking that we're playoff contenders again.
No,
Right.
it's not.
We got a chance.
We got a chance. I mean, we're not going to just lose out and lose every game. This Cincinnati game at home is one of the winnable games we have left on our schedule, according to everything that I've seen. I mean, there's a chance. The Giants are within 7 points of them right now. I mean, the Giants are playing horrible.
But the Giants beat you guys.
They barely beat us, Chris, and I know, but the Giants are still horrible. Don't give them a pass. The Giants are horrible. And the Giants are playing without Malik Neighbors right now.
This is a bad Sunday night game. I mean, 7 minutes.
Yeah, it's
7-0 with 6 minutes left.
What is how is this the game of the week? I mean,
New York.
They tried to flex it. But they wouldn't let them. They tried to get the game removed.
They probably
They were trying to bring that Baltimore, that Ravens Commanders game to it, but one of the mayor of Baltimore didn't want to move it or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think next week maybe I wouldn't pick them, but just because I'm that low on them right now. Where do you think? Where do they go? I mean,
maybe I'll take Ashley to the game. That way, I can guarantee we win.
Yeah.
She's 0-9. 0-9 at Browns Bengals games.
She is.
She's never seen the Bengals beat the Cleveland Browns in 9 games we've been to, including one we went to in Cincinnati.
When they had like the best.
That's commitment there.
When Baker, we went to a game on Kylie's due date, sitting in the club seats with Frank Stamms and Hansford Dixon, and they look down at Ashley's stomach and they say, "Whoa, when are you due?" And she goes, "Today." And the guy goes, "Whoa, you guys are football fans." And we won that game. They had Hoosh, Chad Johnson. We had Peyton Hillis, and I can't remember who our quarterback was. Maybe Shaw or somebody, like terrible. And we won that game. And I have a picture with my arm around her, and I'm like slap happy drunk, and she's my pregnant DD for the ride home. And I have it framed with the box score downstairs. And that was one of the first of many Bengals losses she's witnessed. So if I can get her to a game, it will certainly be a Browns win because she is 0-9. Never seen one.
That may be their only chance.
If she goes next week, she's got a 75% or higher to win. She's got a great chance seeing them win in person next week. I'll tell you.
She is the Cincinnati Schleprock.
Although the Giants just scored, now it's going to be a tie game. This is a bad man. Jeez.
Yeah, that's Tyrone Tracy, Chris, sneaking in the goal line against your unbeatable Bengals.
I'm not saying the Bengals are unbeatable, Dan. I'm just saying they're
1-4 world beaters.
They're better than the Cleveland Browns.
Next week is the toilet bowl. Everyone's better than the Browns, Chris. I understand that. Everyone.
You're over here saying
next week's the toilet bowl. That's perfect.
It's the toilet bowl next week.
They're gonna
the Ohio toilet bowl.
Points. They haven't scored 20 points all year.
I understand that. I know that already, but there could be a cure for that, and it could be the Bengals defense.
No, I think it might just be Ashley showing up. That is the only chance.
Well, I'm sure I could get tickets to the game for a couple pop lids from Discount Drug Mart if I wanted to go.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Do you want to go to a game? You can go right now for real cheap.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of empty seats. Even the vendors don't want to go. They're looking to pawn off tickets.
Yeah, parking might be actually for free. Going back to them though, I mean, obviously the season's over, we're not going to the playoffs. But what would you guys do if you were in charge the rest of the season to set yourself up, hopefully, for a somewhat of a future? I mean, what moves would you like? Obviously, Dan, you said they should be sellers at the deadline. I mean, what kind of players are we talking about moving? I mean, would you fire your coach? Put Vrabel? I mean, Mike Vrabel is in the building. I mean, do you put him as interim coach now, and maybe see if he's actually the guy? Hey, what do they do to kind of? Because I mean, you can't just keep dying the slow death away and keep everything as is the rest of the season, and then man, that you're going to lose a lot more guys than you think, just from a morale standpoint. Whoever wants to take it, I mean,
I would definitely have the coaching staff on some type of formal write-up letting them know that their decision of their future will be made after week 17 if they're with the organization based on what they do going forward. And then I would call every NFL general manager and let them know that no one is off limits from the roster for the proper draft capital or trade back to be sellers, and then have a team meeting and let them know that they're all playing for their future and that we're going to give a chance for everybody to play and prove what they have and make decisions at the end of the year of what it is, and just maybe move some things around, create some new opportunities for hungry people to get on the field. And, I still think of the quarterbacks we have in Cleveland that Deshaun still gives you your best, and it's sad to say, but he still gives you your best chance to win every week. You're not going to do anything with him. You can't cut him. He's going to be there. You paid him. Why not utilize him? But you'd also have to give Kevin the fair shake and say, here, knowing that your future is going to lie after week 17 with how you finish this season. Forget about the fact you're 1-5 now. I'm talking from here to week 17. The team is yours. Your decisions are yours. Do your best to make us competitive and get us out of this so we can continue to sell tickets and advertising and not make our franchise look so horrible. And based on how you do with that task under your own system and the people that you have and the decisions that you make, will determine what we're going to do with you after this year.
Chris or Jersey?
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I'm benching Watson. I wouldn't play him the rest of the year, and I don't know if I'd play Chubb.
But what are you going to do next year with him?
Well, when you have a new coach and a new front office, you could figure that out. I mean, obviously, I know that you can't get rid of him, but what is the point of playing him? What's the point of
to get him reps, Chris? He's in 3 years. He's played a total of 17 games.
These aren't reps.
The field work is still the field work. He played a decent second half of football.
I understand, but this is ruining him. Being in this offense,
the stink of the Browns is ruining him.
What?
The stink of the Browns and what he's putting on tape right now is ruining him.
Exactly.
But you can also tell that he's kind of given up on it too, because he doesn't, and it could be a leadership thing. He doesn't know
exactly
what's going on either. I'm not certainly not trying to make excuses for him. He missed some throws. He's missed some receivers, all that stuff. But you can't do anything with him unless you find the trade partner for him. So if you know he's your starter in 2025, which he likely is, to sit him on the bench and bring him back to open your season is another step backwards, in my opinion, to even get a chance next year.
He doesn't have to be your starter in 2020 next year. Just because he's on your roster doesn't mean he's your starter. You guys are going to have a very, very high pick.
Okay, but what if in the next 11 weeks of football, he puts on tape something that could get him a trade suitor? Isn't that what you should be trying to do?
No one's going to trade for him, Dan.
Yeah, I think you're wrong on that, Chris.
No
Chris,
one's
why?
Because they can't afford him.
Why can't they afford him?
Because the hit on their cap.
No other team can trade for him.
They can't afford trade for him. And we can offer to pay a portion.
Yeah. I thought Mike Floyd, what it says here on the screen, A Deshaun Watson trade is nearly impossible unless he'd be willing to eat plenty of his remaining salary in 25, 26 to facilitate it. If he wants a fresh start badly enough, maybe he would. And that is a rumor that's been going on. Maybe he does want to get out of here. Because, Dad, I thought you said something interesting the other day. We were watching some of the all 22 on it from the games like last week and the week before. That you think he probably does want out of town, and that he's done with this as well, and that
he's
just,
definitely
when you
not
watch him,
staying in
when you
Cleveland.
watch him out there, he looks like he's just trying not to get hurt. That's why he's evading the pocket sooner than he should be. So maybe this report could be true, and the rumors are that maybe he would eat some of that salary just so because the most important thing for him is he has to go somewhere and play well if he wants to salvage his reputation.
Oh, yeah.
And his name. So I think it'd be smart for him maybe to do what it says there on the screen and find a suitor. And I think it's best for both sides to part ways.
Well, you're here, and it's perfect time because look at what these look what Dak Prescott just got paid. Look, and he got his ass blown out today. I mean, look at what these guys are getting paid since he got his contract. He'll get paid again. You know what I mean? The talent's still there. I really believe he'll go somewhere else, just like Baker Mayfield did, and he'll play well and be productive and earn his money. The talent's still there. The ability's still there. It's just Cleveland. So I would certainly do that. I mean, how much money do you need? I mean, here, if you're in it for money, then I guess you stay here and be miserable. But
it's not all about that though, Joe. His contract is so back heavy.
No, I restructure. I change it myself. I mean, how much money do I need?
No, I understand that, but he would have to eat. The key word in that tweet was plenty. I mean, he would have to eat 120 million of his 230. Like it would be a crazy amount of money that he would have to restructure for him to do that. And because no team's going to be like, yeah, we'll take on Deshaun and his 120 million remaining in the next 2 years. No team's going to do that.
No, I didn't know it was backloaded like that.
Oh, it's extremely.
I think he's owed. I think he's owed 92 million, but his cap hit is 173.
Yeah.
Based on how they did the cap, but he's owed 92 million more. But I mean, if he came out the next 11 weeks and threw for 3,000 yards and 20 touchdowns in 11 weeks, which based on his skill set is not impossible, but based on the Browns now, it is impossible. But if he did that or something like that, the Browns could at least be on the phone with someone that is willing to take him on, where the Browns could step in and pay a portion of the salary too.
I think he's going to have to decide between two things. Do I want to keep the $120 million and basically my career is just going to die away for good, and when it's up, I'm done. He's basically out of the league.
He'll still get a look though.
Yeah, but he'll never, if he stays in Cleveland just to keep that money, it's a wash. It's I mean, his reputation, his reputation, it's over. Like he'll go out on the absolute
I think
bottom.
He can get a 1-year deal from another team, like a prove it deal, and
yeah, but he doesn't
Baker
have time to waste.
Prove it.
See, Baker got out right on time, and Baker went and bet on himself, had to go through some lumps, but found the right stop. Deshaun, it would be till what, past 2026? He don't have much more time to waste. That's 2 more years of this, and he's gonna have to decide between. I really want to get out and bet on myself now. Maybe I go down to Miami if they and if I eat plenty of that salary. I think Miami might be a destination just because they're kind of desperate. He wanted to go there to begin with. Was it like 3 years ago, whenever that was? And I think Mike McDaniels could use a little juice or maybe something different. I think in that system with the weapons they have, maybe. Now some people think Deshaun's a wash, period. But and I don't know if mentally, although I think a lot of the mental is just the situation he's in and all that he went through, where all that transpired the last 3 years. But I think being in this setup doesn't help anybody grow. It's why we could put any quarterback in there right now and they would all fail with this offense that we have, with the San Diego. We're the San Diego Browns now, so anybody under the San Diego Browns regime, they're not going to do well. I mean, 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns would be a miracle in this system. To
But
me,
here,
Yeah,
I actually
understand.
think that if they clear house, with Paul and the others, I don't think that, like, I think Deshaun could still do something in Cleveland.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to say is
I just don't think that this year. I don't think he should play anymore because it's just not good for anything for him to play.
I'm with
Unless you're
Dan now.
hoping he
He's
plays
got to
well.
play. I'm with
Unless you're
Dan.
hoping he plays well, but he's. I mean, the quarterback you saw in the second half today is a suitable NFL quarterback.
I agree.
But you're not giving yourself a chance to do anything with him if you just ride him on the pine, because there could be plenty of teams that are contenders that need someone that can step in, that's a playmaker, that would do that if the right opportunity presented itself, they would be on the phone with the Cleveland Browns, knowing the Cleveland Browns would part ways with Deshaun Watson on a friendly deal.
Okay, but that would happen no matter if he plays another game this year or not.
No, it won't. No, it won't, because that team's not going to want the guy that rode the pine for a year.
It's not a year, Dan.
So what are you going to do in 25?
I say you get rid of Stefanski, you get rid of Paul, you get rid of the front office, and then you bring in an actual person that has a brain and put Deshaun Watson back out there.
And now you have him on the last year of his contract, learning a new offense
with
all new coaches.
He has 2 more years.
Yeah, he has 2 more years.
It's 2 more. Yeah. And not to mention, Dan, you're silencing it's Watson's fault right now. Because everyone,
he's playing bad for the most part.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree, but you bring in Winston and you realize, all these people that are calling for Deshaun Watson, to be gone, and Stefanski's still the second coming of Jesus when it comes to head coaching. It's like they could now see with Jameis Winston, he still sucks and he still doesn't know what he's doing, and he still makes terrible calls and all this stuff, and it shuts them up. Because here, trust me,
Jameis Winston would have 10 picks already this season under this offensive line.
Who?
Jameis would have thrown 10 interceptions already this season behind this
one thing
offensive
about
line.
Deshaun this year.
Exactly, Dan.
More sacks.
We get that.
The only positive with Deshaun this year is he doesn't have as many picks.
We know, Cleveland fans enough to know that here they all blame it on Deshaun Watson like it's all him. He's the only reason why they were even in Philly's territory today. I mean, Stefanski's so bad. I just don't understand. And you're right, it might be Paul too, and the combination. I shouldn't say Stefanski. The combination of them three.
It's somebody shadowing everything. That's the problem.
Yeah,
it's a bad marriage here. It's a bad marriage between Stefanski and Watson. It's just the type of coach that he is versus the type of player that he is. They don't mesh well. You know what I mean? So I look here. If I got a guy I still $130 million to for 2 years, that's first and foremost. I'm building everything around it, and I'm starting right now. I got a guy like Mike Vrabel. I'm going to take a chance with him if he's willing to do so. But I know I got to get rid of D. Podesta because he's not going to work under some idiot like D. Podesta. So, I do everything. I'm on the hook for this quarterback. I signed it. I made the deal. I got to get the most out of it. I'm going to do whatever I have to do structurally around this quarterback to try to salvage it for the next 2 years and try to get something out of it. I mean, if it's backload like that, you can't get out of the contract. I don't agree with sitting the guy. The guy, that's the biggest problem. He hasn't been able to play. He needs the reps, like Dan said. So,
Joe, obviously, in a perfect world, that's exactly what they would do. But there's zero chance they're firing all them guys right now.
Well, no. If you were asking me what I would do, that's
of course.
I'm getting rid of these goons in the front office, and more likely the coach too, because I need a coach that jives with my quarterback. You know what I mean? It's that it just doesn't. It's just, they just don't mesh well together. I just think Watson's kind of like a Favre, shoots from the hip. Baker's the same way, and I don't think that's why they They mesh well. They're just ball players. You know what I mean? So, but if I'm on hook for this guy, everything else is going around him. I mean, it just, you can't sit him. You can't pay him that kind of money to let him sit. And you're not going to, the odds are you're not going to be able to trade him. And if you're going to be able to trade him, he's going to have to show out, like Dan said. But here, if he starts playing well, then you're like, well, I don't really want to trade him because I got to get another quarterback. You know what I mean? So I tear everything else apart around him because I'm invested into this guy for $230 million, and I got to pay $130 in the next 2 years. So I'm gonna get everything I can. I'm not gonna quit. You know what I mean? It's kind of like being like, October's not going away. We want October to go, but it worked. But we're just gonna throw the fucking towel in. Hell no, we're not. You know what I mean? It's that same mentality. I'm on. They're on the hook for this cat. So it doesn't have to be the way it is. It doesn't. It really. It's still there's still a possibility it could go down. It doesn't have to be the worst trade ever. You know what I mean? But it didn't have to be this way. It's just terrible moves in the front office. But that's what I would do. But what the hell do I know? You know what I mean?
Well,
I'm not John D.
If they don't start
Podesta.
winning, what are we going to talk about every week? Because we're going to run out of this conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if they keep losing, this is going to be the weekly event. We need something else.
Yeah, Joe today. Yeah. Hey, what are your thoughts of the game? Exactly what I thought was going to happen. Exactly what's happened in the last 4 weeks.
Right, and what's going to keep happening until something drastic changes. So that's
Chris,
why I don't watch it.
Turn that camera on so YouTube could see that mug.
Never.
Yeah, I agree with you
Maybe
guys.
when the Browns win.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. That's next week.
Yeah. I mean, here I think it'd be best for both parties to part ways. I don't know if Deshaun will ever be the guy again, just because I don't know if mentally he'll ever be that guy. He just looks his confidence just looks.
But that could all change with.
It could. I know, but I
could change instantly.
I don't know if it's ever going to happen here. Has too much damage been done here? Even with
no
structured and I mean, well, I don't know.
If you put the right coaching around that guy, and they start winning games, and he's playing well, everything is just forgotten. I mean, Cleveland fans got short memories. I mean,
I want to ask you guys too about Mike Vrabel. Who the hell actually hired this guy? Do you guys think? Because I don't see any way in hell.
If you listen to Mike, he says Stefanski hired Mike Vrabel.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
it's got to be
hired him.
That's what it was reported, but
do you think Paulie Podesta would hire that guy?
No, it's Haslam.
Mike Vrabel would DDT his computer. You think he would actually, work for that guy?
No.
And why is Mike Vrabel
head coach on deck?
Why is Mike Vrabel not allowed on the sidelines on game days and be involved with the game day stuff? I mean, who brought Mike Vrabel here, really?
Could you imagine Vrabel on the sideline when Stefanski sent out that field goal unit? He probably would have tackled him.
Yeah.
I think he would have ran out there and tackled Tillman himself on the sweep just for the bad play call, but I would have crushed him too. But who do you guys actually think? I think that's a great question because I don't think Paulie Podesta did it. And I don't know why Kevin Stefanski would do it because it could be a guy that could replace him. Who actually hired Mike Vrabel?
That's Haslam.
And who do you
what's his function?
That's head coach on deck.
And who do you think gave him that input or idea? I mean, somebody gave him that idea. Deshaun? Because they have a connection.
Well, Haslam's got Steelers ties, and Vrabel has Steelers ties. And there may have been some previous history there that maybe no one's aware of.
Maybe. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There has, and I know Deshaun likes Vrabel a lot.
It makes no sense to just keep him off the sideline, and I mean they need a spark. They need something.
They're getting a spark back. And where's number 24?
Yeah, but I mean, you're going to rush him back and give him the ball 20 times. I mean, you can't.
You don't need 20 of them.
But they're not going to give him the ball 20 times, especially in this trash ass running scheme they got. They don't even. I mean, we don't run wham blocks anymore with tight ends. We don't do any of that stuff this year. I wouldn't.
If they come out on the opening drive next week, Chris, and Chubb takes a little ISO and takes it 66 yards to the crib, the Browns and all their fans are back.
It's the truth.
I'm just telling you that right now. One play will bring it all back.
Bring what back?
Just the
juice.
allure of being a Browns fan and the fandom and the mentality of insanity that it takes to be a Cleveland Browns fan for a long term. You think in very much the moment and just wanting to win the game that you're playing and not worried about the record yet. And then just like last year, people have delusions of last year that the Browns were like a really, really good team last year, when in reality, we went on a really, really lucky run of opponents and plays that happened on the field and circumstances that ended up with getting us wins with a veteran quarterback. We weren't a great competitive team, in my opinion, for the large part of last year. I almost assumed every week they were going to lose last year too. It's just the way it worked out. It worked out. We got in the playoffs. We were riding an emotional high of being Browns fans, and we really thought we had a chance to do something based on the opponents we had slipped past. And then we got to the playoffs and played the Texans and saw what it was to really line up with a team that was ready to play.
Well, and I think you found a quarterback last year too who is more of the older traditional pocket style quarterback, 6'6", big arm, veteran, champion, and he fit that system perfectly. Yeah, but he fit that system perfectly. He could, because a lot of these new guys like Deshaun, they can't play under center. They can't drop back from under center, turn their head and locate coverage. They're just not. They don't do that nowadays. It's just the new 7-on-7. Everything's in the gun, pistol. New type of quarterback. Everybody's got to be athletic and scramble and run and fire it all over the field. You find a guy to fit that system, but I think that system also showed last year too, like it's with different styles of quarterbacks. So that Van Pelt did a nice job in Stefanski too, in a way, mending that system that brought different quarterbacks. Then you fired the guy. Yeah. So, but I mean, I think it's a great question. Who brought Mike Vrabel here? And like you said, maybe there is a connection there, and maybe that's Haslam's plan B. If plan A with this regime, he doesn't, which it is falling apart now. We can all say that, obviously. When do you think he would pull the plug in the middle of the season, put Vrabel in there, and maybe at the bye week, week 9?
I think if he's going to do that, he needs to do it sooner than later, because Vrabel is going to be on the list for a lot of teams that are looking for coaches, including the Jets, including the Eagles, who may be looking for a coach soon. I mean, I was pretty sure that if the Eagles lost to the Browns today, that Nick Sirianni was getting fired tonight. I mean, I would think.
Yeah. Well, not only that too.
Philly fans would let him survive losing to the Browns at home.
Even if you fire Paulie Podesta and maybe Andrew Berry, I don't know if I'm curious what the relationship is between Haslam and Stefanski now. You had that long contract drag. They didn't disclose it publicly, and maybe Stefanski feels some type of way because they allowed this guy to kind of, they took his power from while he was here. Maybe he doesn't want to be here. So maybe you're in a situation where you have a clean slate, like you guys are referencing to, and maybe that's why I put Vrabel in now, and let him decide what they want to do with Deshaun if they like him. Although you still have it with the money and stuff, but
they 100% should clean house right now in that front office and head coach. I just don't think it will happen. But if you're asking what I would do, I think anyone on this panel would do. They would 100% do that. I just don't think they will, and that's why I said to shut Watson down, because them two, that's Paul freaking Stefanski versus Watson, it just doesn't work. And it hasn't worked, and it's not going to work. So what's the point in trying?
Well, I think you make a good point though, Chris, because I just don't see how you ride this out as is the rest of the season. I think you're going to really lose more guys in that locker room, maybe 95. So you have to choose between either blow it up now and put Vrabel in now, because you're not, number one is Do I think would I move off Deshaun if I could right now? Absolutely, because I can get a top pick. I just don't know if it's. I don't know if he'll still be the guy ever again. But because you can't get out of it financially, you have to basically choose between, like you said, him and this regime. I don't believe in the regime, mainly Paul DePodesta. So I mean, yeah, I mean, what do you
You
do?
have
Do
to
you
change now.
do you sit him down? I think the only option you have is to sit him down now, or to blow it up now. It's one of the two things.
Agreed.
Jersey,
Blow it up. I think the guy's too much of a competitor to be. I mean, he's clearly frustrated, shit, but he's too much of a competitor to just lose his career over the Cleveland Browns at this moment. So blow it the hell up, and like I said, you're on the hook for this guy for all this money. You still got 2 years. Just empty that front office out. Bring in some
Certainly don't let him draft again.
no,
correct.
no.
They
Yeah,
should not be drafting again.
and you have an actual philosophy built around football, the way football is supposed to be played,
Well,
and
and
not
people need to ask
mathematics.
people
What's
need to
that?
ask people need to ask themselves this question too, because I'm sure we'll have comments from this reactionist. You guys are all Watson stands and all this. You can criticize Watson, but if you criticize the organization too, that means you're a Watson defender now. That's the new thing. So I got called a Watson something this week because I even said in the same thing. I think I had it right here. I said in the same, it was on Marcellus Wiley's page. I wrote this. I said the Browns' problems are a lot deeper than just how bad the quarterback's play has been. So I said the quarterbacks played bad, and I even said too, I would move on if I could, but I got called a Stefanski homer. And although Marcellus Wiley agreed with me, shout out to that dude. But I just, I would ask those people though too. This regime, I'll look at all the draft picks they made, like you said, Dan, DeJuan Jones, excuse me, Greg Newsome, Martin Emerson, Anthony Short, but even guys currently on the roster
Cedric
still.
Tillman.
But look at the guy, Cedric Tillman. Look at the guys on the roster.
Mike Woods.
Even guys like Martin Emerson and Greg Newsome and DeJuan Jones, they're not getting better. There's no development going on. They're getting worse. I mean, DeJuan Jones is unplayable right now. So I don't. How can you defend this regime too when in this coach there's no development? Good organizations like Detroit, especially when you're a small market and you have to hit in the draft, you have to develop guys. What developing players do we have right now outside of maybe JOK? Do we have any draft pick this regime's made? Any developing players? Everybody's getting worse. So it's like, how can you? I don't get these people that say, it's all Watson's fault 100%.
People don't know what the hell they're talking about. They just
saying.
clearly they jump on a narrative and run that narrative. They don't. How can you say that about football? I mean, my gosh, or they just don't watch the Browns every week, or they haven't. How could you say that? Like, I mean, you just look at guys that have left and they're successful now, and when you have players that aren't improving, they're actually getting worse. That's a cultural issue. That's a coaching issue. That's a front office issue. Either they're not developing the players, or the players don't believe in the cause, and they're not putting the work in. So,
and that's my point. It's and if you think if you think he's the reason, well, the people that make the trade, they're still in charge. What makes you think they're going to get it right?
I mean,
it just doesn't make any sense. We could and the whole put Jameis Winston in narrative that was going around. Well, the guy that helped you succeed with 5 different quarterbacks last year, you ran him out of town. You fired him for no reason. So, in a different system too. That's not happening with Jameis Winston. Why did he get rid? Why did the Saints get rid of him last year, Chris?
It was the Giants. It was the Saints.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why did they get rid of him?
Because he was Dennis Allen told him to kneel the ball because they were up and they just needed to kneel the ball, and he handed it off to Jamal Williams.
Yeah.
He went into the huddle and said, "We're scoring this effing touchdown, baby."
Yeah, let's put him in. Yeah. So, I think that's where we are right now. I mean, you can't ride this out as is. I mean, I think you're right, Chris. I think they either got to sit him or you got to blow it up and put Vrabel in. I don't. I mean, you can't keep going as is. You're gonna really put I mean, that locker room would be bad at the end of the year. Guys will be leaving here for free.
Well, and if you do that, then you can actually see, can this guy actually continue to play quarterback? Because if you had the right system around him and coaches and front office, and he's still doing what he's doing, I'll be the first one to say, get him out. Like, get him out of here.
Mm-hmm. I don't know,
So,
Dan. What do you think, Dan? That's what I mean. The only two moves I see happen that they can make. I mean, I don't know how you keep up with this.
Ugh. I don't know. I mean, ultimately, the cure is to win, to show some type of signs of life and win something or move in a positive direction. And there's been just, when your team's not scoring 20 points, when you're losing most of the games. I mean, the only game we did win against Jacksonville, we probably would have lost that game if they had Evan Ingram at that time playing, because that close could be winless right now. But there just needs to be some type of sign of life. You got a homecoming this week. You're coming home. You know your shit's in shambles. It's time for someone to step up in there and be a leader and at least rally them back to putting some type of watchable product on the field and competing next week. And if they can hang around in the game, they're not playing an unbeatable opponent, where if they get a win at home and they're 2-5, some people start to have a little sign of life, and then the team kind of comes along and they get some momentum and they build that. Right now, it's just the lowest momentum point that they've had in a long time. I mean, even the 0-16 teams and the 1-31 2-year seasons we had, where we were waiting for the Bud Light coolers to open up and we finally got a win at that Jets game on Thursday Night Football. At least fans showed up every week with a huge underdog chip on the shoulder mentality that this would be the week that we're going to win the game. And there was some type of optimism there because they had no expectation. The problem with this team is there was so much expectation, and the end result was so much disappointment that it's even more depressing.
Yeah, I mean, but my only thing is, even if they do win next week, you look after that, they got the Ravens, they got the Chargers on the road at New Orleans, Pittsburgh at home, at Denver, who's 3-3, at Pittsburgh, Chiefs, at the Bengals. I mean, and the way, if they keep the setup as is, I mean, they may win next week, but I could see another 7 straight losses right after that.
I mean, here, if they lose the next 3 games at home, the city of Cleveland will assassinate Kevin Stefanski if he's still there.
Jeez, Chris. With a water gun.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, you had a coach that survived an 0-16 campaign yourself.
Yeah, I understand.
In the city of Detroit, and there's a lot more unattended guns up there than there are in Cleveland.
Okay, that's still debatable.
And Chris didn't mean that for real. We're on YouTube, Chris. He didn't mean that for real. He meant just allegedly
trying to get
with a water gun.
And Chris upstairs talking about assassinations during an election year.
No, see here, I know the internet overreacts.
At least they can't see your face.
Yeah, exactly. And this isn't even my real last name. No.
Yes, it is. You can't make that one up.
No, but honestly, I took that a little overboard and was a little dramatic there. But there's just no way
they're not going to lose the next 3 straight at home. It's mathematically improbable for them to lose this many for this long with the amount of actual talented people that are on the field. There's 0 chance they're winning against Baltimore.
Yeah, they're not beating Baltimore. I wouldn't pick them over the Chargers.
I don't know if there's 0 chance. I mean, the Raiders came back against Baltimore with Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, and they also beat you.
I understand that. I understand these aren't
these teams we're going against. They actually have an identity. We don't.
I get it. I understand.
And, we got one, all right.
Yeah, we do. It's the San Diego Browns.
Trash.
Yeah.
And the Ravens are on fire right now, dude. There is 0 chance.
Ravens, Chris. The Ravens. What are they going to be? The hottest team getting into the playoffs for Lamar to lose again?
Right.
Oh, that's Roscoe's new team.
They
He
could
tandems.
Yeah, I mean, here the Ravens could come in and play down, and then the Browns catch a spark. I mean, it's the NFL. I mean, that shit can happen any week. You know what I mean?
I just don't see how they could.
It's highly unlikely.
I just think they got to choose between one or the other, like we said earlier. I just don't see how this keeps going because you're going to really mess up that locker room even more. It'll be even more long-term damage. I think their best bet. We know you're not going to the playoff, but I think back to 2018, Baker's rookie season. If you have to make it work with Deshaun somehow, even though as bad as that looks almost impossible right now, I go back to Baker's rookie season. Remember with Hugh Jackson, Baker showed flashes here and there, but there was still a little dysfunction there. He wasn't. It didn't fully click yet until they got rid of Hugh Jackson and put Freddie at the OC and then put Greg Williams in. It gave like a spark just from a coaching staff, and the quarterback played a lot better because of it. His confidence went up, ended up breaking the rookie touchdown record that year, and they were 8-7-1, but they had momentum. Those games were unbelievable the rest of that season at home. They won some of those games by convincing fashion, excuse me. And remember they went on the road to Denver one. I think it was on Thursday night or something, or Sunday night or something like that. Or it was a Monday night. It was a night game, I remember. Saturday night, that's what it was. And but you have momentum and positivity going into the next season. I think that's what they got to try to create somehow, is some type of momentum. But again, what's your goal? Is your goal to have a high draft pick? I don't.
Who's drafting? I wouldn't.
But that's what I'm saying.
If you're not these guys with any draft picks,
well, not only that, but if you're not looking to get a quarterback because you can't get out of yours, then I think do you try to just 2018 it again? I mean, you'll still have high picks pretty much.
They want to tank for Travis Hunter. Put Travis Hunter with Deshaun.
I would love Travis Hunter, but according to Deion Sanders, not only is Shador going to force his way, but Travis is part of the family. Travis will be forcing his way as well. So,
Raiders.
I wish, and I think he might be the first pick.
Try to get Jeremiah Smith. Wait a few years and get Jeremiah Smith.
DB Osdio said, "I hope the Browns fans let the team have it next week, or have it next Sunday versus Cincinnati. Bring on the booze."
The only booze is going to be in the Muni lot before the game, and them fans are going to be fired up to watch their Browns at home. They don't give a shit what the record is. They're there. They bought the tickets already, and they're not giving them back. If they couldn't sell them on Marketplace for the face value that they bought them for, they're going to go to the game. Regardless of what it is, they're going to get drunk. They're going to be ham-boned, and that music's going to start firing, and whoever's going to come out and smash that electric guitar, they're going to pretend like it's their Super Bowl, because that's how we spend our Sundays.
Yep. And that's why Jimmy and Dee Haslam are just going to sit back and watch it all unfold and do nothing this week. Because at the end of the day, they're still paying to watch, and they're going to do that exact same thing the next week against the Ravens at 1-6. And they're going to act like they have a chance.
Well, we weren't going to leave the stadium all empty like you Lions fans did when you guys stunk so bad.
Why not? Why support an 0-16 team?
We had a parade for going 0-16.
That's the difference in the fandom, dude.
Oh, no. It's not a difference.
Oh, stop. Now you want to spark something. Don't ever compare Detroit Lions fans to Cleveland Browns fans.
There's a big difference in those. You know
that's a joke, dude.
Yeah, it's the same freaking
No, it is not.
There's a big difference.
No, it is not.
You don't go to like North Carolina and see like a random Lions backers bar in the middle of nowhere, dude. You don't go to Key West and see a Lions backers bar at the local bar and everybody down there in Lions jerseys watching the game on a Sunday.
Wasn't somebody in Africa one time we know?
Dude. Well, dude, then what's that thing that comes out every year where they rate the number one fandom in the world, regardless of any industry, and it's either the Cleveland Browns or the Ohio State Buckeyes. Every year, Detroit Lions are nowhere to be found.
Oh my God.
So no, you can't say that. So here, God bless them. They've hung in there, but there's a little bit of fair weather going on.
I do know how Browns fans are going to leave next week, though. Like always. Yeah. That'll be next week.
But I'm coming to Philly to watch it.
I think I've bonged a beer with that guy.
Yeah, we're not
Poor
having-
guy.
Yeah.
Poor fans, man. Yeah, you know, it's a shame, man. They put these people here work, you know, they work to get, you know, work these for wages, and then they buy these tickets. You know, they just can't wait. They take their kids. They spend
Pay
all that money on
$50 for
parking and
park.
food, and this is what you get. It's an absolute shame, man. It's an absolute shame. I would hope
Cold,
to gosh
raining.
Jimmy Haslam cares somewhat enough about his ego to lose. That's one thing I liked about Dan Gilbert. The guy wanted to win. He wants to win. You know what I mean?
Detroit guy.
Gosh darn, he wants to win.
If
But
them seats are full, Jimmy's winning. He's cool with that.
yeah, but you got to remember though, this shit's a hobby for these owners, dude. That's not his moneymaker.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So
Well, that
does he want to
momentum for
be?
the
Does he
dome
want to
is,
be known as a losing owner? Does he want to be known amongst all of his peers? Does he want to go to to these meetings and be known as the fucking loser? No, he doesn't. I hope he's not that guy. You know what I mean?
And that momentum for that dome has really diminished a lot.
Yeah, you don't hear about it now.
I think if you want the dome, you got to get the team right first. Because
You got to be here. You know how much those tickets are going to sell for, and then I heard they're going to do like new PSLs. So,
oh yeah, people aren't going to pony up for that unless
Correct.
you establish something.
Right, you got to have a
People are already
winning
bitching
product
about
out
the
there.
price canceling their shit. I know many loyal Browns fans that I've known my entire life that had season tickets that in the past 2 years have canceled their season tickets based on price hikes and just the fact of not getting a reward on the fact that they're attending.
Correct.
I had a guy leave a comment on on the San Diego Browns show. He said, "I've been a fan for 50 years. I'm not watching anymore. I'm done.
Yeah,
can't take it." And you're seeing a lot of that. I've never seen it in my life, but you're seeing a lot of it now this year.
well,
I haven't put on Browns gear in 3 weeks.
Those same Cleveland fans are the same ones that when the Guardians got renamed, they weren't watching another single Cleveland baseball sports game, and now they're go Guards.
Yeah.
It's like,
No, you got me all wrong, dude. I'm one of those people. The hell yeah, that pisses me off. So no, and I'm not one of those people that gets out and says go Guardians either. Is it interesting? Yeah, it gives us something something good for the city, but hell no, that pisses me off. And I won't get into it here, but I'll explain to you why it pisses me off. So it's total bullshit. The reasoning behind it is what's bullshit. So yeah, I'm one of those people.
well, maybe the Browns need renamed.
Right. I'm Native American too, so but
Well, I don't.
this shows you how pussified sports is now.
All right, he's
Don't get me started on that shit, dude.
I know. we know. We could be here for a whole another 2 hours.
Right.
But I do think that Browns fans are always the ones that, no matter what the record was, they would never say that ever that they were done. And I'm hearing it more legitimately this year than I ever have. I mean, I've talked to many fans. They're not watching the games. They used to watch every Sunday. It's not a good sign if you want to dome.
Well, once you go outside on a Sunday in October and realize how beautiful it is outside, and there's so many other better things to be spending your time with,
right.
It's hard to go back from that.
Right.
I think we're 3 and whatever, and maybe even 2 and whatever. Although Dad, you said maybe 1 and whatever. In December and snowing outside, people are still going to be maybe even more pissed.
In because people like misery, and it makes just good conversation on a work Monday. You know how shitty the Browns are, and that's just something that people talk about, and whatever it is. They're still going to watch. People are still going to watch, and people are still going to go to the games and whatever, as bad as they are. If they're the laughing stock of the league, whatever it is, people love to watch the fall. I mean, our whole country loves to watch the fall and the demise of people. That's like must-see TV.
Well, I think a lot of people watch it too. Like here, if it's not nice out, like last weekend here, I didn't watch the Browns game. We're down in the valley. We had the top open on the Jeep. We're down at the corn stand. I mean, it was too nice to be home. And then today we had some things to do. But if it's I watch football because I love football.
Yeah.
I'll watch them. I'll watch them here. I'm going to watch some games if there's nothing. If the weather's terrible, there's nothing else going on because I just love watching. I'm sitting here watching the Bengals and the Giants, and I'm sitting here I'm like, why am I watching this game? They're horrible. Why am I watching these two terrible teams? Because I just like football. I just love to watch football.
Well, next week at 1:00 instead of the Browns Bengals game, you can watch the Lions versus the Vikings.
The Bengals just fumbled the ball, and the Giants couldn't recover it.
They couldn't recover. This is similar to the Giants that tried to give us the game and let us win the game 3 times when we played them.
Yeah,
unbelievable. So I guess we'll finish up with this. I appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight. We'll go around the table here. Point blank, what do you think happens the rest of the season? Any fire? Anything? What's your guys' prediction for the rest of the season? Gerd?
nothing.
Do you think they just stay as is?
I really do. I think that they're that bad of a franchise that they're just going to just play this out.
Dan?
It's going to depend on how these next 3 home games go, in my opinion. Getting you the little past.
If you had
the
to guess right now,
season.
though, how would you guess?
I think Watson stays. I think Stefanski takes the bullet, and I think that we toy with the idea of bringing Vrabel down to the sideline to create a spark. I think that's what happens. I think Vrabel is only there because he's head coach on deck, and that's just Haslam flexing and saying, "Here, I got somebody behind you," which has added some pressure. Maybe there was a conversation had about Kevin not wanting to run the new offense and run his own, and maybe that added a little bit of, okay, well, he may or whatever. Who knows what those conversations are, but I think Stefanski takes the bullet if they can't immediately turn any type thing around, maybe even if they don't. But it's a sad state of affairs. They are definitely in the worst position of any sports franchise in all of sports, in any sport. The Browns
they are
position possible, and it's hard to find bright spots because the future in the people that they've drafted and put in place to be next man up, and some of the developing talent, like you mentioned earlier, isn't there either. Most of our talent is just established veterans, and a couple maybe draft picks that we may have hit on depending on how they turn out. I mean, we thought Emerson was a slam dunk. Now he's part of my active parlay strategy where I just do anytime touchdown scorer on whatever receiver I think is going to be, he's going to be covering.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm going to second that along with you. I think that's the moves because I think they have no choice because you can't get out of the contract. And I think somebody brought him here. It wasn't Kevin. It wasn't Deep Podesta, in my opinion. And I also think, you have to make a change somewhere. And I think that's the only change you can make. And also, I think it's why they didn't disclose Kevin's contract publicly because I think there's always been a plan B in case this went south, which it has. Jersey?
That's exactly what they're doing. The fact that they wasn't pleased with Stefanski developing him as a quarterback and brought in different people, got rid of his OC, tells me that they believe in Watson's ability. Now, I'm not saying they're right. I'm not saying, but when I step in, I say, would that guy call him a Watson apologist? Is that what he calls you?
Yeah, he said I was like a Watson defender. Somebody pull it up. Guy's comment.
Idiot, but
I clearly can't read. But
I'm just an advocate for the player having a chance to play and prove himself. I don't think that's happened here in Cleveland. With the, you know what I mean, whether it's injured or suspended or now with this front office. So, but I think Jimmy Haslam's proven that he believes in the quarterback's ability by the moves he made in the offseason. So I agree with Dan and you that Stefanski could be the person that gets the blade.
Watson apologist.
Yeah, Watson apologist.
Did you see that stat? The Bengals were 1 in 166 when scoring 10 points in a game, and their only win came against the Browns in 1977.
Chase Brown for the good guys.
I mean, just unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's really amazing that the Browns could just have a product that is just so bad for so long and is just so widely consumed nonstop and just has such a loyal fan base. We're literally like the Spam of sports franchises. Like people just eat it just because they've eaten it for 4 generations.
Spam.
Like shit. We are the Spam
Cockroaches.
of sports.
Just can't kill us.
I'm back. Sorry, my thing
just
dropped for a minute.
That just stuck around for decades, despite the fact that no one really thinks it's good.
I do want to point out something real quick too, going back to what I was saying about the plan B I think they had with Vrabel. That article I showed earlier when Haslam was talking about DePodesta's extension, he said if Paul wants to remain with us. So maybe Paul DePodesta, I know he probably knows he ain't going to work with Mike Vrabel because Mike Vrabel will take that computer and shove it up his ass. So I think there is something possibly there with you look at the words how the comments he made there about if he wants to remain, and he kind of laid out the whole setup. Why is Vrabel even here? I think there is a plan B, and I think you're right, Dan. I think it does happen.
DePodesta wants nothing to do with that large, imposing, masculine man being in that building. Large man. He's certainly a large man.
Mike's certainly a large man.
Not a big math guy. Large man.
Shout out to Kevin Stadansky. But, we should do Paul DePodesta too. That'd be pretty good. But,
wow.
No, Chris can be DePodesta if he shows his face.
Actually, no, that Chris, you don't have to because you're not in the building anyways. So, you're not. You live in San Diego. You don't show up in the building anyways. So,
where is Yinzer?
I know Yinzer. Where is Yinzer?
Where is Yinzer?
Yinzer was supposed to come back on.
I didn't mean to immediately log him off with the first joke.
Did his Steelers win today? Did Yinzer?
Steelers did win.
Yeah, they're 4-2.
He might be too drunk to come on tonight. That might be why. Celebrating that win. And, old Yinzer. We don't even know who Yinzer is, guys. He just showed up on the show, and his name's Yinzer. Yinzer, the Steelers fan. So hopefully you come back, Yinzer.
$50 an episode. 2 Ravens, 4-2.
You're kidding.
Steelers.
Yeah.
2-4, and 1-5. Man.
Well, any final words from you guys? Well, actually, we talked enough about the Browns. That's depressing. But
looks like I should learn about the Cavs.
I am going to have a Cavs thing coming pretty soon, a season preview. I'm excited about the Cavs this year, and Kenny Atkinson's new system with Evan Mobley. I think Evan Mobley could be an all-star this year in this new system because it'll be utilized properly finally, and get shooters involved and all that. But I think they need a wing though. Maybe Dorian Finney-Smith at the deadline. I think that'd be a good move for him. But I'll let you guys know about the Guardians. I'll talk about the Cavs. What do you guys think of the Guardians in this Yankees series, and how confident they can get over this hump finally at the Yankees?
I'm rooting for them.
I like our pitching. Just got to keep up with the bats. Playing in New York has always been like our postseason kryptonite. That big stage of our team of jobbers going over there and playing in that large stage environment has always been our kryptonite. But who knows? This team continues to surprise me. They weren't even supposed to be this far. One of the lowest payrolls in the league.
Chris, what do you think? I know you guys will watch probably more than Jersey, so I mean,
I'm rooting for them. They took out the Tigers, so now I'm definitely rooting for them. I don't have any ill will towards them. I would rather see them win it all than the Yankees. That's for sure, or the Dodgers, or the Mets. So, out of those 4, go Guardians or Indians or whatever.
In Cleveland fashion, I'm anticipating if we get past the ALCS into the World Series, that we'll be playing the Mets and that Francisco Lindor will win World Series MVP and eliminate us.
Yeah.
That would be awful. That would be, man. You guys got a prediction on that?
My
Who do you got?
prediction is the Cleveland Cavaliers will win a game before the Cleveland Browns this year.
I actually agree with that.
Probably
When's the
right.
season- hold on. When's the season start?
I think in a couple weeks. I got the Cavs winning open tonight. Actually, I like them big in that game. When is the date? Let me look it up. Is it
The Guardians? It's good for this. I hate even calling them Guardians. I hate even saying that. Drives me out of my mind. But it's good for here.
You sold out.
Good for the town. It's good for business. Good for the town. Good for the excitement. You know what I mean?
Not this week, but next week. Opening night at Toronto. We're 4.5 favorite. I'll take us in that easily. We're much better in Toronto this year.
Guardians.
They could
Well,
lose
okay,
their.
so you guys have just completely given up on us beating the Bengals then.
Yeah, the Bengals won tonight by 10, so they at least got a positive spirit going into next week. Not our team. Who the hell knows what's going to happen this week in between the games? Something you never know.
Coach told him, "You motherfuckers better not be 1-5 like them Cleveland Browns."
The toilet bowl next year.
The toilet bowl.
The old
You think
Drano toilet bowl.
Are they going full Bob Knight halftime speech in that locker
There's
room?
no
Pat?
way the Bagels are gonna lose the opportunity of going 3-4 and actually trying to save their season to the Cleveland Browns.
Well, and as bad as our secondary's been, I think Joe Burrow probably lights them up next week.
Yeah.
And the weather's going to be nice, too. It's going to be a nice day to throw the ball around, I think, as of right now. That could change, but right now it's showing 79 and clear next Sunday.
Yeah.
I think the only time the Bengals have beaten
70
us,
degrees and clear.
I think the only time the Bengals have actually beaten us in the past since Burrow's been there is when Jake Browning beat us, right?
What's that? Was it Jake Browning? Yeah, I think. Well,
Yeah, it was Jake Browning.
Yeah.
Burrow's never beat us.
Well, there's a first time for everything.
Good stuff from all of you tonight and every week. You all are very knowledgeable, enjoyable to listen to. Have a great week, guys. Like, support, and share the real. Go try. Appreciate you, Scott. Thanks, buddy.
Miss you, Scott.
Thanks, Scott. See you, buddy. Hope your parlays hit. Hope you took the under on whatever was happening tonight.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Before we got out of there, any quick? Who do you guys got winning this series? Guardians or Yankees? What's your prediction?
I cannot, in my heart of hearts, say the Yankees out loud, so I will pick the Guardians because I have to.
How many
will
games?
that into existence.
How many games you got?
It's gonna take all of them.
So Guardians in 7.
If it's going down, it's got to take all of them.
Jersey, you got a prediction?
Yankees, the bats. I mean, they're like, I think the run differential is like 100 something. I mean, when you look at runs allowed versus runs scored, they're like plus 100 more over the Indians. It's what it is every year.
A couple $100 million more in payroll too.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I really wish they put a salary cap in baseball, but you know what? Here the Dolans already achieved what they wanted. They made the playoffs. They got the TV revenue. They got the low payroll. They get luxury tax. So that's what we get. We got owners that don't want to win.
How many games you got the Yankees?
They're worried about being what's the term? They're worried about DEI.
Yeah, well, how many games you got the Yankees winning in?
I'd say let's say they win it in 5.
Guards in 6.
Damn.
I think that
now I know the Yankees are going to win.
Yeah.
I think that the way the series played out with that grand slam and even in the game before against the Tigers, that
the major league ending,
that home run, that when we were down, when they were down,
missed another field goal. God,
I just really believe that they. I think that it's their year.
Former Cleveland Brown Greg Joseph right there kicking them knuckleballs still.
Yeah, that was a wide left. My God, that was bad.
Dude, that's the second one he's kicked.
Just look at it. Just sails left.
I mean, just kicking
Yeah.
those knuckleballs.
Yeah, that was bad.
Look at those Bengals fans. Are you kidding me? Our drunk horde is going to take over that stadium next week. You watch. I'm calling it.
I hope. We got to defend home turf.
I'm not saying that the Browns fans aren't better than Bengals fans. I'm just saying the Bengals are better than the Browns.
Well, of course, every NFL team is currently playing better than the Cleveland Browns. However, that doesn't mean it can't happen that they beat another team. I mean, it's the NFL. It's every given Sunday. This isn't college football you're talking about.
I get it. I understand that.
This isn't Michigan playing against Appalachian State, Chris.
I get it, but at the same time, you're predicting it when. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying I wouldn't be predicting it.
Well, the Bengals defense, put the stat up right now. The Bengals defense has allowed 10+ points in 75 straight games, but we can't score over 20 this year. So they broke that streak tonight. Maybe they keep that streak going next week. I don't know.
All they had to do was miss 2 field goals. Daniel Jones throw a punt in the middle of the field as an interception. I mean, he literally threw a punt up in the air. The linebacker could have fair caught the ball.
Maybe the news streak keeps going into next week too.
Joe Burrow, Cody Rhodes, just looking.
What is he doing with his frosted hair?
I don't know. Yeah, that's weird. And he had that. Remember, he went to that.
He went to that. He got bored in the offseason. He said.
And he went to that fashion show, and he had that apron, looked like he worked at Hartville Kitchen on. It looked awful. Like, dude, what are you doing? To go throw the ball around a lot. You know what I mean? Like
Joey ball game.
He'll be throwing the ball around a lot in Cleveland next week.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, I'm gonna say I'll be a homer, say Guardians in 7, but I'm not as confident in it. But I don't know. Maybe you never know. But
I hope. I really hope. As much as I that shit bits me. I hope, but
has the line
who wins more games? Who wins more games the rest of the year? The Guardians or the Browns?
yeah, good question.
The Guardians.
I'm gonna say the Guardians.
Who wins more games the rest of the year? The Guardians or the Browns?
I do have one more question with that. Do the Guardians get the tie too?
Well, they'd have to.
Okay. Well, then I got the Guardians.
You got the Guardians. Okay.
I'm gonna say the Guardians until further notice.
Okay.
What do you think, Jersey?
Well, here I picked the Yankees though. Well, here I said the Browns aren't going to win a game the rest of the season. So, and I said the Guardians would win a game. So
there you go.
The Browns are not going to lose out. That is not going to happen.
With their current structure, how can you say
that is not going to happen? They're not.
Something has to drastically change, man, or they're going to lose They're going to lose every game. They're playing that bad.
The current structure is worse than 0-16.
Something has to change. I just don't. I don't think it's going to. That's the question. Is something drastic going to happen in Berea? Because if not, we're gonna have the same old shit. They're going to get worse. It's actually going to get worse.
They have to do something.
They got to put Vrabel in, like you said. It's got to be 2018 type of game.
Well, yeah, I agree. They have to do something to keep here. People have bought tickets and shit, but you still got to keep the play. You got to keep the fans engaged just enough. You know what I mean? So
your locker room's got to have momentum. That's why I keep saying 2018. You fired the coach. You make a spark. You got a little momentum going into next year. And your quarterback play better. You have to, because you can't get out of your current quarterback's contract. So you have to find a way to create that spark somehow, and you have to make drastic changes to make that happen.
Question is there anybody willing to take that front office job? Anybody reputable?
Not with San Diego in the building, no.
No, when I say front office, I'm talking about that goon being out.
Yeah.
I'm saying, is there anyone reputable willing to take?
Yes.
President of football operations for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Without DePodesta, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They legitimately run the team.
Yeah.
Is there someone willing with this ownership?
There's a lure to all the Browns positions when they come open because the ego behind everyone that would want them is thinking of, if I can be the guy to do this, then I will be
100%.
immortalized.
Well, is that something
there's
like
a lure to it?
Do you think something like somebody like Bill Belichick could be lured? Front office.
The more I see Belichick on TV, like on the Manning show and all this stuff, I really think he's just liking his casual appearances on TV and just telling stories about being a coach and just going to sail off in the sunset. I don't know if he wants to go back to the stress of being involved like that again. I don't know that he's ever going to come out of that the other way. I mean, he just seems so happy with what he's doing right now.
Yeah, I don't think you hire. I just think. Who does Vrabel? You got to find who's Vrabel connected to. That's maybe a young Patriots tree, maybe front office guy or something like that.
Is Bob Quinn still there?
Well, I was about to bring up Bob Quinn. Bob Quinn's, and I think that might be the guy who can.
He
Somebody
ran a
gave
franchise.
Well, yeah, I know, but somebody gave Haslam the idea. I think of Mike Vrabel, and I think Bob Quinn probably was that guy because he is the coaching executive. That's his label. So, yeah, I mean, he's in the building. You could go with Bob Quinn as interim immediately if you fired everybody. So, but I don't know. I mean,
yeah, I mean, all these Browns predictions that I'm saying of them not winning a game is if under the current structure of
how it is.
If they fire Stefanski, get Vrabel in there, get Bob Quinn, and boot out Paul, I think that obviously they could definitely. I think that's the spark that'll definitely have them winning some games. But
I mean, as bad as they're playing right now, they're not getting blown out of all these games. That's what you got to realize. They're not getting blown. As bad as they're playing, they're still not getting blown out.
Yeah, but look who they're playing.
I understand that, but they're still okay. But look who they're playing. Cincinnati's bad too. I mean, it's just a bounce of a ball. It's a non-missed field goal. It's like little happenstance things that could happen and pivot the game the other way.
But they've had teams try to give them the games, and they said we don't want it. We'd rather lose.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I got it.
What I'm saying
I have
is
noticed that
the only two teams that they've played that are actually good teams did blow them out.
Yeah.
Are
you calling the Cowboys a good team after you just spanked them 47-9?
Well, I mean, us spanking them and you guys playing them are two different things. I mean, if the Lions played the Browns, it would be an absolute massacre. I think.
Well, what does that mean for the Bucs who showed up and massacred the Lions?
The Bucs would beat the Browns bad, 100%. They would destroy them.
I hope we see you guys again in the playoffs.
Be careful what you wish for, baby.
I don't know. Hutchinson's a big loss.
Get Jared Goff coming down on turf.
We're gonna get
off turf.
We're gonna get you guys. We're gonna be hosting that game, dude. Don't get that.
You think? I mean, you got to win your division first, dude. You got a harder chance to win your division than the Bucs do.
Yeah, well, that's not because we're a worse team than the Bucs. It's just their division sucks.
Well, you may not be worse team than the Bucs, but you did lose to the Bucs.
Yes, you are right.
And you know Jared Goff struggles to play outdoors.
He went into Tampa last year and smacked you guys. What are you talking about? Like,
you know, traditionally throughout his career, he struggles to play outdoors, Chris. You know that already.
Okay. Traditionally throughout his career, he hasn't had a run game in an offensive line like this.
I agree. You guys are stacked up, but you did lose a horse today.
You lost a major horse today in that pass rush, which is what helped you win that game against Baker last year. Because Baker, when he still has to grow, in my opinion, is at the end of games when they start sending 5-6 guys and pressuring him, where he's prone to throw a pick in the late game.
Mark it down.
You lost that guy today.
Max Crosby will be a Detroit Lion this year.
Mark it down. He's a captain, buddy. I saw him holding that title belt with Rey Mysterio on Facebook the other day.
Didn't you say Jack Conklin put his house up for sale? No, this is random. You see,
yeah. Just read it. I read it early this morning or yesterday.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Ashley's brother, his company built that house for Conklin.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's nice. Now we're down another lineman after the year. But well, anybody got any final words before we get out of here?
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. Dan, you want to plug your guys' podcast, or are you not yet? Are you guys?
No, I'm not ready yet. Still
All
not
right.
ready yet.
All right, not yet, but keep an eye on it down the road.
Yep.
Any other closing remarks before you get out of here? Or y'all go guards? I don't know.
Go tribe. There can be a tribe of guardians too. Let's go tribe. Stick to the tribe. You have a tribe of guardians.
It doesn't. I'm not offended when somebody says the Guardians. I just don't like the reasoning behind the name change. Like it's soft. It's shameful. But here,
I honestly never even noticed those giant pillars on the highway till they were named the Guardians.
Right.
I never even knew those were there.
Gergs, you got any final statements, bud, for when we get up out of here?
Like and subscribe.
Gergs is making his facial debut next week. He will be revealed. He'll be unmasked like a luchador when the Browns beat the Bengals. He will finally be unmasked for all of YouTube.
If the Browns beat the Bengals under the current situation that they're in, I won't get a tattoo, but I will show my face on YouTube. Yes,
his face will be ready for YouTube ready.
All right, I'm looking forward to it.
I'll ever be that, but.
And where is Antonace?
He didn't answer the phone. I called him earlier, and he's like, "I might come on tonight. I got to write an article." He turned his phone off.
It's over cleaning Stefanski's bathrooms.
He has to be here for the good and the bad. Yeah, his analysis of the good and the bad.
Yeah,
but if the things go, the way I think next week, he will be on next week when the Browns beat the Bengals.
I really just need him to tell me if he thought it was a good idea to kick the field goal.
I didn't ask him about that.
I have to know.
All he said to me on the phone was, "I care more about the Guardians now. I don't really care who."
Okay, there we go.
Oh my gosh!
Okay.
Now
and he said, "I don't really care who they fire."
I didn't know much for being a baseball fan.
And then he said, "Deshaun is washed." Those are his three statements.
Oh my gosh!
Deshaun
was washed. He's only in the Guardians now.
I did sense him going a little anti-Deshaun last week to defend Kev.
Right.
I sensed that. I sensed that was the pivot. I thought he was going to be anti-Kev last week when you told me, Joe, that he's finally done with Stefanski, fire Stefanski, and then he came on the air and was.
Well, no, he said, and he said it again.
Is ruining Kev.
Well, he said last week, and he said it again today. He doesn't care who they fire, is what he said. He doesn't care anymore.
Well, as a Cleveland fan and a sports writer, and a member of this show, he kind of has to care.
Right.
Well, he is right.
He does not care anymore.
Well, no, he said he doesn't care who they fire. Like he doesn't really. It doesn't matter to him. He thinks that everybody should just go.
Well, none of it really matters to any of us in our personal lives. You know what I mean? But we can still have a passion for the knowledge.
Well, he's just that pissed off. He's just that pissed off about it. I guess he's got a whole like giant article come out about the Browns on roundtablesports.net. So check that out. Go over to Roundtable Sports. He might be writing that right now. Actually,
is it about the Browns?
Yeah, it's all about the Browns. It's going to be everything about the Browns. So
I got to see that. Link me to that.
Yeah, I'll send it to you guys. I'll put it in the link below this video if you guys want to go read it. So that might be coming out tonight. I think he said so.
I'll call him after this. Mary Kay once told
me. I was having a croissant with Tony Grossi.
Grossi.
Just rubbing elbows with all the local Cleveland news people. Like anyone gives a shit.
You wouldn't believe what happened when I was cleaning Stefanski's pool.
I was in line at Taco Bell behind Kenny Rhoda, and I snuck up on his window. Oh my gosh! My favorite part of Sunday Night Football is after the game ends and it goes back to the local news, and it's all just the local sports anchors just being so miserable about the Browns. I mean, they're up here talking like they're gonna jump off the building if it doesn't get any better and shit.
Yeah. Well, you know what's bad about it too is they got to stay there all day, and they're the last segment every night at like midnight when nobody's watching.
Yeah,
they got to drive home at night. And it's getting cold out.
Oh, I watch it because this one guy that's on Channel 3, I mean, he comes off like he just found out his wife was having an affair on him. It's like, dude, you're literally in this headspace every week. This Al Pulowski guy.
Yeah. Oh, wait, he's up right now.
Yep.
Oh gosh, let me listen to him.
Yeah, he's yeah, there he is, Al Pulowski up right now. Yeah. yeah.
Shout out to Al Pulowski telling him like it is.
I'll start with the bad news first. The Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, what's the good? I mean, there is no good. I like how the good's always, well, the good news is they got Nick Chubb and they're coming back next week.
I am proud of the Cleveland Browns today. Their offense did outscore. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe he didn't want to go for it on fourth down because he wanted his offense to outscore his defense.
He wanted to be part of the record books.
What are they going to say now? What's the hope when Chubb comes back and they lose again? They can't use the Chubb card anymore. What's gonna be the good news now? What's the good news? Oh, yeah, there's Kevin talking after the game. Same old speech. Yeah, we got to play better. I got to coach better.
I got to do better.
We got to look.
You hear what Pulowski just said as he signed off from Stefanski's press conference? He goes, "Well, we heard that before."
Yeah. Yeah, hit that, nailed that. But all right, guys. Make sure you thanks for joining tonight, Dan and Chris. We'll see you guys next week.
Hey, ask Mike what he thought about that field goal choice. That's what I need to know.
It's probably gonna be in the article, but I'll ask him and let you know.
We'll ask him live on air. This guy's usually the guy that's being super miserable about the Browns in the studio, not Pulowski. This guy's in front of the Guardians thing, by the way.
Oh yeah, this guy. That's
he gets twisted.
Nick Camino.
Nick Camino. Yeah.
He gets twisted.
That's why he's not in studio tonight.
We got to get him on the show. I got to get Hanford to come on here so we can ask him some Brown stuff, because lately Hanford has been turning the corner too on how miserable it is to watch.
Yeah, I've watched some of his show with
his
Cruz.
He's
You want to watch Cribbs' son play football. It's like his JV games.
Yeah,
he's pretty for a freshman. It's good. I mean, it's good.
Cribbs is on the Hall of Fame ballot this year.
Yeah,
I'm gonna ask Cribbs when I see him if I run into him.
He's pretty damn good.
Big player. Somebody in these networks, holler at us. But just saying, we're open to talking. But we'll get Hanford on. Yeah, I've watched some of Hanford's show recently. It's I feel bad for him because all these guys, they're trying to find something good. They're just everything's just bad. It's just like, it's depressing to talk about.
You just get sick of talking about the same thing.
Yeah, because you know what the problem is, and then there's nothing you can do about it. Like, it's not a quarterback change as much. I mean, he's played bad. We all know that, but the biggest problem is who runs it.
He's played bad, but he hasn't played that bad.
He's been pretty bad.
Statistically, he's
very
bad.
Yeah.
But he's also not turned over the ball. I mean, he's taken a lot of sacks. He's held on to the ball too long. He's not turned over the ball. He's been inaccurate a lot, and he's missed a lot of open receivers. But on bad reads. But who knows what it feels like to try to be in a 3-step drop and you have someone that's already breathing in your face
when you're not even in a rhythm. You're not even in a rhythm.
Well,
right.
I mean, I'd be depressed if I had to go work under this every day too, with some guy in San Diego tell me what to do. But that's just me. But well, appreciate you guys for joining tonight. We'll see you guys, Dan and Chris. We'll see you guys up here next week, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe
you guys
after
have a good week.
All right, have a good week.
Go Browns this week. 23-17 over the Bengals next week.
All right. Gerg says no, they lose.
28-13.
All right.
We don't hold them to one field goal, Chris?
No.
They just get 4 touchdowns. Okay.
Yeah. No. All right. We'll see you guys next week.
All right, guys.
See
ya.
Yeah.
Hold on, Jersey. Oh, Jersey left. All right. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. Leave a comment below of what you thought of tonight's show and what do you think the Browns should do the rest of the year. And hit the like button for me, and I'm going to get up out of here. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out of here. Go.